Want to speak real English from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at EnglishClass101.com.
Yeah, vamos a la playa. Now we're going to the beach. Hi everybody, welcome back to Top Words. My name is Alicia, and today we're going to be talking about 20 travel phrases that you should know. So let's go. Do you have any recommendations? The first phrase is, do you have any recommendations? This is great to use when you get to a restaurant where you don't know what the food is, you don't know anything about the local cuisine, or you're just feeling a little bit adventurous. You can ask the waitstaff, do you have any recommendations? How much is this? How much is this? This is useful when you're out shopping or when you're in a restaurant and the price is not clearly marked or something is not clear to you. So you can ask, how much is this? Usually when you point to something, I would recommend like pointing to the menu or pointing to an item. How much is this? I'd like this. You can point to something and say, I'd like this. If you want to say, I'd like one, for example, I don't know, you're getting beer. I'd like one of these. If, however, you're in a situation where you can't point, you can say, I'd like 10 of the blah, blah, blah. I'd like 10 of the blue t-shirts, please. Can I try this on? Is useful when you're shopping for clothes. So you find something that you'd like to try, just ask the staff, can I try this on? You can just say, I want to try this on, if you like. Do you speak English? You might get asked this phrase. So you should say, if you're watching this video, you should probably say yes, or you can say yes, a little, if you're not feeling very confident. If you're watching this video and you're understanding this part and you say no, then that's a little strange. So, I have a reservation. Usually the staff will greet you and you can say, I have a reservation. Hello, I have a reservation. It's at 7 o'clock. The name is Alicia. Usually we say the name is, or it's under, meaning the reservation is under my name, or it's for name, or it's in name. Water, please. Depending on which country you're from, water may or may not automatically be brought to your table when you're at a restaurant. If you would like more water, however, you can say, water, please. To make it a little more polite, I would wave at the waitstaff and say, could I please have some more water? Do you take credit cards? Do you take credit cards? In case you're not sure if the shop that you're in will accept credit cards or debit cards, you can ask them, do you take credit cards? So it doesn't mean, do you take, meaning, are you going to take my card? But this take means, do you accept credit cards? This isn't what I ordered. So if you're at a restaurant, you order steak and you get lobster instead. You can look at it and go, ah, this isn't what I ordered. Be careful though. Say this politely. If you look at the waitstaff and you say, this isn't what I ordered, they're gonna be like, I don't know, just be a nice customer. Excuse me, but I don't think this is what I ordered, or this isn't what I ordered. Can you please check? Could we have the menu, please? If for some reason you don't receive a menu when you come to the table, you can, again, just wave at a member of the staff and say, could we have the menu, please? Could you give me a discount? Could you give me a discount means I would like a cheaper price, essentially. So it depends on which country you're in. If haggling or bargaining, meaning talking to the seller to try to reduce the price. My family didn't bargain, we didn't haggle, so I don't haggle. It depends on you and your culture, but just be aware of the culture that you're in and the place that you're in before you ask this question. Do you have any vegetarian dishes? This is useful. Some people have specific eating requirements or eating needs, maybe food allergies, for example. You can replace vegetarian with the specific dietary requirement that you have. Do you have any vegan dishes? Do you have any gluten-free dishes? Do you have any low-fat dishes? Do you have any low-carb dishes? Do you have any fish-free dishes? Do you have any... Could you take a picture of me, please? If you are in a location where you would like to take a picture, but you don't want to do a selfie, or you don't have a selfie stick, or whatever, you want someone else to take a picture of you, a stranger that you don't know, you can ask them, could you take a picture of me, please? Or, excuse me, would you mind taking a picture of me, please? I'm allergic to blah, blah, blah. If you have a food allergy or even an allergy to a medicine, this is the phrase you can use to explain that. I'm allergic to wheat, or I can't eat wheat, for example. Is the Wi-Fi free? Meaning, can I use the Wi-Fi free of charge? Keep in mind, some places have a password that you have to ask the staff for. So you can say, is the Wi-Fi free? If they say yes, you can then follow that up with, can I have the password? I'd like to have a non-smoking seat, please. So when you go to a restaurant, you have an option between smoking and non-smoking sections. The staff will say smoking or non-smoking. You can say, I'd like to have a non-smoking seat, please. Quite honestly though, the most natural response is just to say non-smoking. Could I get a map? Maybe it's a map of the subway system for the city that you're in, or maybe it's a map of the area around your hotel. You could say, could I have a map as well? Could I have the check? You're finished at your cafe, you're finished at the restaurant, and it's time to leave, it's time to pay. So you say to the waitstaff, excuse me, could I have the check? Another more common expression perhaps is, excuse me, check please. You might also hear bill. Excuse me, can I have the bill? Where is the bathroom? Very important question. If you're traveling in America, we don't really use the word toilet or washroom very much. We use bathroom or restroom to talk about toilet facilities. Excuse me, can you tell me where the bathroom is? Or excuse me, I'm looking for the bathroom, or I'm looking for the restroom. Is this the train for blah, blah, blah? Or is this the train that goes to blah, blah, blah? To confirm with someone that I'm indeed on the correct train line. If I say, is this the train bound for San Francisco? You can use that to check if you're correct. 10 compliments that you always want to hear. Let's go. I love your cooking. This is my personal favorite compliment. Oh my God. I love cooking. Like, I'm always posting like pictures of things that I cooked on Twitter. I'm just like crazy about food. So this would be a compliment that I would love to get. Like, the ultimate compliment for me though would be, will you make my birthday cake? That would be such a compliment. Like, it's a question, but there's so much behind that. Will you make my birthday cake? I'd be like, oh, you would give that to me? So maybe after, you can use this after a meal, for example. I love your cooking. And the other person will be like, next is great job, great job. This is a compliment that you can use anytime. You can use it with your friend, not with your boss. Your boss might use it with you, an employee, a coworker or colleague, a pet even. Whatever, it's just a very small scale, a very easy to use compliment. That means you think whatever has just happened is good. I use great job all the time. I use great job and I use good job. Sometimes when I make a mistake or something funny happens and I'm alone at my house and I want to make fun of myself, I'll be like, yeah, great job, Alicia. But if I'm trying to be positive about a failure or laugh at myself a bit. But in general, it's just a good, easy compliment to give someone. Great job. You have a way with words. You have a way with words. This can be speaking. This can be writing. It means you think that the other person is a good communicator, or maybe even more so than just a good communicator. You think that the way they speak or the way that they write is particularly good. So that could mean funny, it could mean romantic, it could mean dramatic. Something about the way they speak or the way that they write, you really enjoy that. You can say, you have a way with words. It's quite a nice compliment. I think it's kind of like a, bit smart. It's a bit of a smart thing. You have a way with words. Or you can say you're good with words. You're really good with words. Yeah. All right, next one. You look gorgeous. You look gorgeous. Very nice compliment to give. Just be very careful with the way that you say this. For an everyday compliment, I tend not to say you look nice or you look gorgeous today or something like that, because the underlying comment there is, on the other days that person doesn't look nice. So if I want to compliment someone's appearance, I try to pick a specific thing. I'm like, oh, I've never seen you wear that sweater before. It looks nice on you. Something like that. Like yesterday, my friend had a new dress on and I was like, is that a new dress? And because I thought she looked nice, but I didn't want to make it sound like I don't think she looks nice every day. So I said, is that a new dress? And she goes, yeah. And I said, I think that color is really, really nice on you. It looks really good. And she was so happy about that. So yes, there are these compliments like you look nice, you look great, you look gorgeous, and so on. But I personally kind of prefer to level them up a little bit and just say, pick a specific thing. Like, did you get a new haircut? Did you dye your hair? Or did you get something, did something happen? Like whatever it is, try to pick up on a specific thing, because then that shows you're paying attention to the other person. and you think that whatever they have chosen to do, whatever like clothing or whatever haircut, whatever it is, you think that they have good sense there too, or good style. So it's kind of like it's a very subtle double compliment. Yeah. The next word is you have good taste. You have good taste. This can be for food, fashion, style, for decorating sense, music in movies, whatever. If you think that that person's artistic selection in whatever capacity, if you think that that person makes good choices with their appearance or their hobbies or whatever, you can say you have good taste. This is a fairly sophisticated compliment, I think. We use you have good taste for something like it sounds a bit more sophisticated. Maybe if you both choose the same bottle of wine, perhaps. Like it has kind of a more formal, adultish, sophisticated feeling about it, this compliment. So yeah, maybe wine is a good example of that. Yeah. Oh, nice bottle choice. Like, I really like that. You have good taste. You can follow this, by the way. You have good taste in blah, blah, blah. You have good taste in movies. You have good taste in music. If you want to be specific about something that you think that person is really good at choosing, you have good taste in noun. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next one is you have a great sense of humor. You have a great sense of humor. This is the underlying compliment in the phrase, you are so funny. This is the underlying compliment. You have a great sense of humor means the other person thinks you are funny, that you are good at telling jokes or you make them laugh. This is actually one of my favorite compliments to get. You have a great sense of humor. Yeah, because I think that, like, you know, people like to laugh. So if someone makes you laugh, you can say this. You have a great sense of humor or you're very funny. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good one. So you can say it after a joke, for example, or after maybe you've finished laughing at something the other person has said. You can say, ah, you have a great sense of humor. Good. Next one is your resume is impressive. This is a weird compliment to say to your friends, unless you're like reviewing your friend's resume. It's a bit weird. This is something that perhaps someone interviewing another person for a job would say. The candidate comes in for the interview. The interviewer says, wow, your resume is very impressive. I'd like to ask you a few questions about it. Yay! So this is good to hear in a work situation. Yeah, you really probably won't need to use this with your friends. If you do, it's kind of weird. Oh, wow, this next one is quite a compliment. Nobody's ever said this to me. To be fair, if somebody said this next one to me, I would feel a little bit of like pressure. The compliment here is you make me want to be a better person. This is something that I think you see in movies from time to time. Yeah, I had one person say oh, that something you did inspired me. And that was like really like, oh, that was really exciting. Like somebody was inspired by something. Like, wow, that's great. Or I want to be like you. That's a really cool compliment. But if someone says, you want to make me be a better person, it's like, oh, wow, like that means I'm really important to that person, which is really flattering. But at the same time, if someone said that, I would also be like, if it's like my friend, I would be like, but I want you to be you. Like, I think you're a cool person already. Yeah, it's like, oh, you make me want to be a better person. Like, in that person's viewpoint, you're like somehow above them, and that's uncomfortable. Yeah, I would rather say, you inspire me. I think or like this thing that you did really inspired me. Like if somebody said like, I saw that picture that you posted on Twitter of that pizza today, Alicia, and it really inspired me and I made my own pizza. I'd be like, yay. Oh, next one is nice. Actually, I say this to my friends quite a bit. You are an awesome friend. This is really, really good to use after your friend has helped you with something. Maybe you're moving to a new apartment or new house, or maybe you've had some trouble and your friend gave you some good advice, or your friend just listened to you when you really needed to talk to someone. After that experience, you can say, thanks so much, you were an awesome friend. Or maybe your friend did something really, really cool and you just want to like tell them, like, I think you're really awesome. Just say, you are an awesome friend. They'll be happy to hear that. Or just, you can abbreviate it to, you are awesome. Not just you're an awesome friend, just you are awesome. You are a cool person. You are awesome. You're fantastic. You are an awesome friend. You're an awesome friend. 10 ways to motivate yourself when learning English. Let's go. The first way to motivate yourself is to imagine that one day you will live in the United States. So to do this, imagine what is your day going to be like when you live in the US? Where will you go? Who will you meet? Where will you shop? And so on. Imagine your day in the United States. Okay, the second way to motivate yourself when you're studying English is to study other aspects of the culture too, which makes it more rewarding to study English. Okay. So this means, of course, studying English as a language, but if there's a specific country that you would like to visit or a specific part of that country's culture, try to learn about that too. If you like music, if you like the food, if you like the history, try to find something about a specific country or a specific part of that country's culture that you enjoy in addition to studying the language. Okay. Way number 3 to motivate yourself is finding funny words in English. Okay, so finding a word that sounds funny or a word that you enjoy using or a phrase that you enjoy using can really increase your motivation for using that word and for interacting with people. So if you can find those phrases that you think are funny or are fun, they can be really, really helpful for you as you learn your language. The next way to motivate yourself is to make friends with people who speak English. So of course, if you don't have any friends who are English speakers, especially native English speakers, it's a really good idea to make some friends. This way you can practice with them, you can learn from them, and you can just see maybe what their life is like and how their life is different from yours. So this is a great way to practice, a great way to learn, and a great way to think more internationally as well. The next way to motivate yourself is watching YouTube videos of other people who have successfully learned English. So you can listen to people, what worked for them, how did they study, where did they go, what materials did they use, what did they find not helpful. So you can try to find a strategy that works well for you through using resources like YouTube, for example. It's a great way to find people that maybe match with what you need. Okay. The next way to motivate yourself is by watching English movies and TV shows and enjoying the feeling when you can understand a word or a sentence. Yeah, I do this too. When you enjoy something, when you find entertainment value in something like music, movies, TV, and there's that moment when you pick up or when you understand what your favorite character said or you understand like a key point in the story, it's a really, really good feeling. It makes you want to continue watching, I think. So that's a really, really nice feeling, I think. And you can do that by enjoying media. So it's a fun way to learn and it's a fun feeling to experience. Okay. The next way to motivate yourself is by reading English news articles, blogs, and magazines to get a feel for formal and casual language. So the style that we use here, like in English Class 101 and on the videos on this channel is quite casual most of the time, or at least in these videos it's very casual. But the way that I speak and the way a newspaper is written, the way a magazine is written, the way a newscaster presents the information, these are all different ways of communicating. We're using the same language, yes, but they are different styles. So it's important to try to understand those differences and to become familiar with them. So try to find a few different things that you can enjoy. The next way to motivate yourself is after dinner, you write about your day in a journal in English. Okay, this is an interesting idea. So just take a few minutes after dinner or before you go to bed to write something in English about what you did that day. Or maybe so you have a chance to talk about future tense, or to use the future tense, you can talk about your upcoming plans or the things you're going to do the next day. So you can talk about past tense, what you did that day, maybe present tense, how you're feeling as you're writing your journal for the day, and future tense to talk about your upcoming plans. So journaling can be a really effective exercise for motivating you. Okay. The next way to motivate yourself is by practicing with flashcards of useful words and phrases for 15 minutes every day on the train. I actually do this. But I use an application to study Japanese, to study kanji. And 15 minutes every day adds up over the course of a week. You can learn a lot of information in a short period of time. And if you live in the country where your target language is spoken, then you might even find the word you studied on the train, you see it like after you leave the train. You might see that word later on in your day. So you can immediately feel like an extra sense of motivation by knowing that this thing you're studying is applicable, is something you can use right away. It's a really cool feeling. So this is a tip. I use this. Last, I make sure to thank anyone and everyone who corrects my English. I think this is really important because people are really nice. They don't want to correct you when you make a mistake, but sometimes people do. They're really polite about it and they tell you a more natural way, or they give you a suggestion for how to improve your English. Make sure you say thank you, like repeat after them and then say thank you, so that, it's motivation for them to tell you again in the future, to help you again in the future. So make sure to say thank you to anyone who helps you with your English. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome back to our English class channel. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between by and until. So let's get started. Okay, so first we're going to talk about by. By marks a deadline for an action to finish. By marks the point where an action completes or is replaced by another action. So really think about using by to express a deadline. Something is going to stop, or you must finish an action at this point in time. So we can think about by as marking some point in the future. So by marks some point in the future where an action is going to finish, an action is going to be completed. So in an example sentence I have, I'll be at the office by 7 p.m. So in this sentence, the speaker is not at the office, but 7 p.m. is the deadline. This is the point in time at which the speaker will be at the office. The speaker is not at the office now, but by 7 p.m., by the 7 p.m. deadline, the speaker will be at the office. This will shows us, this is a future tense expression, and by shows us the deadline, the point at which that expression or the point at which that action is going to be completed. So this is how we use by, to think about it like a deadline, some point in time at which an action will be completed or finished. Okay, so let's continue on to the other grammar point for today, which is until. Until also has a more casual form. We can use till, T-I-L-L, or apostrophe T-I-L. You might see both spellings used for until, till, or till. In most cases, it's good to use until. In casual speaking and maybe in casual writing, you can use the casual form. But until is always polite and is always correct. Okay, so when we use until, let's talk about when to use until. We use until to talk about a continuing situation or a continuing state now in the present or in the future, but it's going to change or stop. So the key difference, one key difference here perhaps, is a continuing situation, a continuing state. With by, the nuance is a deadline. Something is going to finish at a deadline. Here, however, until gives us the nuance of something that's continuing. Something true now, for example, but that may not be true in the future. Until marks the point where that action or that state is going to finish or change. Okay, so we can think of it rather than as a deadline, as a key point in the future somewhere where action A continues until a point where we use until, and then a second action begins. Something is going to change at the until point. With by, however, we don't have the nuance of an action changing. We only have the nuance of a deadline. So here, until is used to show that something different is going to happen, or something will finish, but there's going to be a change after the until point. So for example, this sentence, very similar to the by example sentence, is I'll be at the office until 7 p.m. So here we have the future tense I will. I'll be at the office until 7 p.m. This sentence shows us the speaker is at the office right now. However, at 7 p.m., until shows us that 7 p.m. is the point at which the situation or the state is going to change. So at 7 p.m., the speaker is probably going to leave the office. Until shows us that right here, the action or the state is going to change. So please keep that in mind. Until shows you a change in something. By shows more of a deadline for an action that is continuing. So I hope that we can practice this in a few example sentences now. Okay, so let's try to choose the correct word to use in these example sentences. Should we use by or should we use until in these cases? So the first one I have is he has to find a new job, blah, 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 March. So in this case, we see a point in time. We can think about it. Should we use by or until here? If we use by, we see that the deadline nuance matches here. He has to find a new job by March. If we use until, he has to find a new job until March. There's no information in this sentence that shows us a hint or that gives us a hint about how the action is going to change. Until does not make sense for this question, so we should use by in this case. He has to find a new job by March is the correct answer for this sentence. In the second sentence, I'm not going to go to bed, blah, blah, blah. I finish this movie. So in this sentence, we have at the end, I finish this movie. So there's some action maybe that's continuing here. And we have another action. I'm not going to go to bed. In this case, it's a negative. So there are two actions here. This is a pretty good hint that there's an action that's going to change at some point, instead of the nuance of a deadline. So for this sentence, until is the best answer. I'm not going to go to bed until I finish this movie. This shows us that at this point, the point where I finish the movie, I'm going to go to bed. This marks the change in the continuing state or the continuing situation. So the next sentence is they need to write their reports, blah, 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 tomorrow. So this sentence, there's no change in the sentence. We don't have any hints about some kind of different action that's going to happen. Instead, we have maybe what seems to be a deadline, some requirement here too. So if we try to use until, it doesn't make sense. There's no changing action. We can't guess about what might happen in the future or a change that might happen. So by is the best answer here. They need to write their reports by tomorrow. Tomorrow is the deadline. So we can guess that tomorrow is the deadline here. By shows us that it's the deadline in this case for this task. All right. Let's take a look at something a little bit different. Here we have, we can't leave the house, blah, 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 your mother calls. So again, there are two situations, there are two actions involved in this sentence. We have leave the house and your mother calls, makes a phone call. So because there are two actions here, we can guess that there's some change that's going to happen. So because we learned that until marks a change in actions, we know that until is the better answer here. Okay, we can't leave the house until your mother calls would be the correct sentence here. All right, So let's look at the next sentence though. This one is a tricky sentence. This one is a little bit difficult. We have, I'm not going to be there, something, something, 8 p.m. So here we have 8 p.m. at the end of a sentence, which looks like a deadline, right? We have going to be there. So should we use by or until for this sentence? It's difficult because actually both are okay for this sentence. I'm not going to be there by 8 p.m. is correct, and I'm not going to be there until 8 p.m. is also correct. However, the meanings are very different. Just as we practiced in these two sentences, I'll be at the office until, I'll be at the office by 7 p.m., the same is true here. I'm not going to be there by 8 p.m. means I'm not going to be there at 8 p.m. It's not possible for me. I can't go. However, I'm not going to be there until 8 p.m. This sentence means after 8 p.m. or beginning at 8 p.m. and after I'm going to be there. So please be careful. In some cases, both by and until are correct, but they change the meaning of the sentence. Okay, let's continue to another example. So the next example sentence is also a little bit difficult. It's if my date doesn't arrive, something, something, 7 p.m., I'm leaving. Okay, so here we do have two actions. Doesn't arrive, my date doesn't arrive, a negative point, and I'm leaving. So it seems like there are two actions here. However, we have this 7 p.m. This marks a deadline, right? So if my date doesn't arrive, there's some deadline here. If this is not completed, something is going to happen. The person is going to leave. So in this case, 7 p.m. is showing a deadline. So we have to use by. If my date doesn't arrive until 7 p.m., we could use that, but it doesn't sound so natural. So the nuance again here is of a deadline. There's something that is going to happen at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. marks the end point in this situation. So we use by here. Okay, let's go to the next pair. Again, these are very interesting points. We have to leave the beach, blah, 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 10 a.m. And we have to stay at the beach, blah, 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 10 a.m. Okay, so these two sentences I included because I wanted to show the emphasis of changing actions and continuing actions. So we can see the verbs are different here. In the first sentence, we have leave. So this is a change, leaving a location. In the second sentence, I have stay, which shows a continuing action, stay in one place. So here, as you can guess then, we have to leave the beach, blah, 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 10 a.m. Some change, some deadline. So we'll use by to show our deadline. In the second sentence, we have to stay at the beach. Stay shows a continuing action, and then it's going to finish here. So we'll use until. We have to stay at the beach until 10 a.m. This shows us a continuing action, and maybe at 10 a.m. we'll leave the beach. All right. Let's go on to the next sentence. I'm not going to travel abroad, blah, blah, blah. I learn English. Okay, so here there's no time point. There's no 10 a.m., 8 p.m., tomorrow, and so on. So this is a little more complex maybe. We have travel abroad and learn English. So it seems there's no real deadline here. But we have maybe a change. Maybe this shows us some kind of change. Learning English marks a change. So I'm not going to travel abroad until I learn English. This shows us that something different is going to happen in the future, so we should use until to mark that change. Okay, our last example sentence for today is we told him to wake up, blah, 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 6 a.m. So once more, our last sentence may be a little bit simple, but 6 a.m. shows us an action, sort of this deadline. You can see a lot of these use a time to mark a deadline for an action. So here, we told him to wake up by 6 a.m. This is the point at which something must happen. So we should use by here. Okay, great. So those are a few example sentences that you can have a look at and think about when you're trying to decide whether to use by or until. Keep in mind, however, there are some cases where both by or until are correct, but the meaning is going to change significantly depending on the one you use. So I hope this lesson was useful for you. If you have any questions or if you want to try to make an example sentence using by or until, please be sure to leave us a comment. If you liked this video too, please be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks very much for watching this episode, and we will see you again soon. Bye! 10 words for connecting thoughts. These are going to be 10 words that you can use to transition between ideas. Very useful in both speech and in writing. Let's go. Also is a word that you can use to add information. I went to the store this morning. Also, I went and got coffee. That's true. However is used to contrast, or to contrast, depending on your pronunciation, to differentiate, to show a difference between two pieces of information. A good pattern would be A, however, B. So, for example, I love tonkotsu ramen. However, it is very high in calories, so I don't eat it often. Also true. On the other hand is, I feel, used more commonly in speech than it is in writing. Again, it's used to present like two sides to a story or two sides to some information. So, for example, I'm thinking about visiting Taiwan sometime this year, but on the other hand, I'm also thinking about visiting Thailand. Still. So it might be common to use still with a word like but or a word like even though. So you're saying even though there's some other factor, like I'm really, really tired this week, or even though I have a lot of homework to do, I still want to go out with my friends, or I still want to see a movie this weekend. So there's this thing that's maybe makes this other action difficult to do or tough to do or whatever. But even though there's this, you still have this over here. So maybe the two are kind of used as a pair. So I still want to go out later, even though I'm tired. Then, yes, a very useful word. We use then when telling stories a lot. So for example, if I could tell a story about my morning today, when I got up, I brushed my teeth, and then I cooked breakfast, then I did a little bit of work, then I took a shower, then I did some cooking, blah, blah, blah. You'll often hear and then as well. And then I, and then we, and then you, and so on. So then is really, really useful for sequence. So a useful word, I think. Besides. So it's commonly used in a pattern like besides that, meaning other than something else. I went out with my friends this weekend, but besides that, I didn't really do much. So another way to say that sentence is, I went out with my friends this weekend, but other than that activity, I didn't do very much. Okay. Meanwhile, or you might hear the similar expression in the meantime. It means while you're doing action A, at the same time, maybe somewhere else, action B is happening. This is used while telling stories a lot. So for example, I was working at my office all week last week. Meanwhile, my coworkers across town were having a party without me. So these two things are happening at the same time, but maybe separate from one another. Meanwhile. Likewise. Okay, likewise. I don't really use this word personally myself at all. It's often used after an introduction, similar to the pleasure is all mine in a formal situation. So maybe somebody says, hey, it was really great to see you last weekend. Thanks very much for coming to my barbecue. You can say, yeah, likewise, it was really good to see you and your family. So likewise means I have the same feeling or I have the same idea. It's kind of a friendly phrase, but personally, I don't really use that to transition between thoughts. I would just use and, I suppose, but no. That's how I would use it. Instead. So instead, it's used like instead of. I want to A instead of B can be used to express your plans or what you want to do. I want to have Chinese food instead of Italian food tonight. So you're presenting two alternatives, essentially. So instead of means in place of or as a substitute for. So I should have drank a lot of water this morning, but instead I drank a lot of coffee. That's true. I wanted to have dinner with my friends this weekend. Instead, I had dinner at home. In addition, this is a really good word for more formal situations. I like to use in addition in writing. I don't really use in addition in speaking unless I'm trying to be very formal for some reason, similar to additionally as well. So you make point A and point B, and then when you want to make one more point that's related to point A and point B, you can say, in addition, point C. So you're like building an argument, and in addition can be used to kind of finish that argument off a little bit. Our new marketing plan worked really well last month. We noticed increased sales in product A. In addition, we've gained a lot of new customers, something like that. So just you're quickly presenting a series of ideas that are related to one another. You can use in addition to finish it off. 20 words you'll need for the beach. Let's go. Sunglasses. The first word is sunglasses. Sunglasses are those dark glasses that you wear on your face when it's bright outside. In a sentence, I forgot my sunglasses. Hold on, I forgot my sunglasses. Beach. Beach is the place near the ocean. You might have a beach in your city or in your country. The beach is usually visited in the summertime. The image is lots of sun, you can get a tan, you can get a sunburn, but it's usually a fun place to spend time with family and friends. In a sentence, I'm going to the beach with my friends this weekend. I'm so excited. In this sentence, she walked along the beach. Swimming. The next word is swimming. Swimming is, of course, a popular activity to do at the beach. I go swimming at the beach every summer. Or in this sentence, be very careful when swimming in the Pacific Ocean. There might be sharks. Sun. Sun is that big bright thing in the sky that will make your skin change color if you stay in it for too long. So the sun, in a sentence, the sun is really bright. Let's get out of the sun. Palm tree. The next word is palm tree. So palm trees are a type of tree. They're usually seen in like tropical places, like Hawaii has palm trees. Any place close to the equator, the middle line of the earth. I think that's where palm trees tend to grow. It's kind of an image of the beach. So palm trees. There are a lot of palm trees near the beach in California. That palm tree is almost 60 feet tall. Seashell. The next word is seashell. Seashell are those little objects you find on the beach, like in the sand or in the water. In some cases, they're like shells from like clams or maybe oysters sometimes too, depending on what you consider a seashell. But if you break the word down, it's sea and shell. So like something from the ocean and the shell, or like the covering, the outside of something. So usually a small creature, a small animal has lived inside the seashell. And then you can collect them and, I don't know, look at them or make something from them. Little kids like to collect them. I used to collect seashells when I was a kid. Oh my gosh, look at this example sentence. It says, it's bad luck to take seashells from the beach. Oops. Swimsuit. Swimsuit is the clothing you wear to swim in, your swimming suit. There are men's swimsuits, women's swimsuits. Usually men's swimsuits are like shorts, board shorts, or I suppose there's what like Speedo makes like the men's swimsuits as well, the really small ones. And then for women, they have one-piece swimsuits. And then they have bikini swimsuits, the two-piece swimsuits. So, in a sentence, I hate swimsuit shopping. In this sentence, I need a new swimsuit this summer. Ocean. The next word is ocean. Ocean is the big blue, the big water, the big deep blue sea. In a sentence, the ocean is so beautiful at night. In this sentence, he dipped his feet in the ocean. Lifeguard. Lifeguard. A lifeguard is a person at the beach. Lifeguard, so someone who guards lives. If someone gets into trouble in the water, they start to drown or they start to have trouble. If there's an accident at the beach, the lifeguard at the beach is responsible for handling that problem. So they'll call an ambulance or they know how to do first aid to save people. So in a sentence, it's important to go to beaches where there are lifeguards available if you need help. In this sentence, there isn't a lifeguard on duty here. Jet ski. Next word is jet ski. A jet ski is like a water motorcycle. You can ride around it with your friends, alone. Riding jet skis is a lot of fun. In this sentence, if you have a driver's license, you can drive a jet ski. Beach towel. The next expression is beach towel. Beach towel. Beach towel is different from regular towel because usually beach towels have like a bright color or a bright pattern, or they're towels that you don't mind, or towels that are okay to get sand or dirt in them. Usually in a towel you use in your house, you don't want to get your towel really, really dirty. So a beach towel is a towel you use only at the beach. In a sentence, I bought a new beach towel and it has a picture of a hamburger on it. In this sentence, oh no, I got sand all over my beach towel. That's the point of a beach towel. Beach chair. The next expression is beach chair. As you can probably guess, it is a chair you use only at the beach. So again, this is a chair you don't mind. It's okay if it gets dirty or sandy. Usually a beach chair is easy to fold or easy to carry too. In a sentence, I have a couple of beach chairs that I'm going to bring to the barbecue this weekend. In this sentence, can we use these beach chairs? Sandcastle. The next word is sandcastles. Sandcastles are usually kids make them. They use like buckets. So kids will like put sand in a bucket, or like they move sand into piles and design castles or these really complicated mazes or something. They make buildings out of sand. We call those sand castles. So in a sentence, my brother and I used to make sand castles on the beach when we were kids. That's true. In this sentence, get the buckets and we'll make a sand castle. Cooler. So cooler is a noun in this case. Cooler is the place you keep your drinks and your food. It looks like a suitcase, but it has a special lining inside that keeps cold things cold. So you can put ice inside and it will keep your food and drinks cold while you are at the beach in the hot weather. So in a sentence, did you put a bunch of beers in the cooler? I forgot ice for the cooler. Tide. The next word is tide. Tide is the level of the water, the level of the ocean water at different times of day. So if you are interested in this sort of thing, you might know about high tide and low tide. High tide means the water level at the beach is high. Low tide means the water level at the beach is low. So tide is how high or low the water is. In this sentence, the tide ebbed and revealed a starfish. Ebbed means it went away a little bit. So tide is the flow of water. Tan. So tan is, we use it as a noun, like to get a tan in a sentence. It means that your skin turns a darker color. So be careful, there are two words we use in English. Tan means your skin gets a little bit darker, and we also use the word sunburn or just burn. Burn means your skin gets red. It means like it's damaged, maybe your skin peels a bit. So in America anyway, in the US anyway, a tan is usually considered a positive thing. Many people want tan skin. But Sunburn, where your skin is red and damaged, is bad. So be careful. Those are two different words we use to talk about the changing skin color. I got a tan last summer at the beach. In this sentence, you got such a nice tan in Florida. Snorkeling. The next word is snorkeling. Snorkeling is really, really fun. Snorkeling is swimming, but you have like a hose, you have a pipe that you can breathe through as you swim. So you usually put goggles, you wear goggles as you're swimming in the ocean. You can look down and see fish, or you can see things in the ocean, but you can still breathe. So this is a really fun thing to do, to look at fish, or just to hang out and see a different point of view. I went snorkeling for the first time maybe when I was 22, 23. In this sentence, she bought goggles so that she could go snorkeling in Hawaii. Flip-flop. The next word is flip-flop. Flip-flop is a very common beach sandal. Many people like to wear flip-flops in everyday life too. Some people prefer not to. It's up to you. Like in California, I know, especially in beach towns, everybody just wears flip-flops. It's very comfortable. So flip-flops kind of have an image of being a little bit cheap or just very, very simple. It's the most basic possible sandal. Why are they called flip-flops? Because I always thought it was because of the sound that they make. Sound, I guess. Maybe it sounds like flip-flop. In a sentence, I usually don't wear flip-flops. In this sentence, these flip-flops keep breaking. Sunscreen. Next word is sunscreen. Sunscreen, or you might also hear sunblock. These are products you can put on your skin to prevent a tan or to prevent a sunburn. Sunscreen, so it's a protection. It's a protection against the sunlight. I just hit this screen. So sunscreen is quite important. Like it is said that you should use sunscreen to help prevent skin cancer. In a sentence, I'm out of sunscreen. I need to buy more. In this sentence, Mom, I don't need sunscreen. Bikini. The next word is bikini. Bikini. We talked about swimsuit a little bit earlier, but bikini is usually a swimsuit for women, and it's two pieces. There's a bottom half and an upper half. And oftentimes the top half of the bikini, or sometimes the bottom half, you have to tie a knot or you have to latch something. I suppose if you don't tie it carefully, it can create a problem, like it could fall off. So bikini, it's a popular style of swimsuit for women. Are you going to wear your bikini to the beach tomorrow? In this sentence, my bikini came undone in front of everyone. It was so embarrassing. 5 sentence patterns that you can use as a beginner of English. Let's go. The first expression that you can use as a beginner is personally, I think that, or I would just use I think that. Personally makes it sound a little bit more polite, I think. You can use this to introduce an opinion. For example, personally, I think that pizza is amazing. Personally, I think that dinosaurs would have been delicious. Personally, I think that cars should be made to enjoy with friends. Okay, I'm gonna edit there. Personally, I think that you shouldn't worry about it. Yes, that's probably a much more useful sentence than dinosaurs would be delicious. The next expression is, what does blah 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 mean? So where here is the word you don't know. So for example, what does pasta mean? What does Stegosaurus mean? So a word like Stegosaurus is a really strange word that you probably don't know. Stegosaurus is a type of dinosaur. We're on a very dinosaurs, I don't know, we're on a Jurassic adventure at the moment. So this is a pattern you use when you don't know the meaning of the word and you would like someone to explain it to you. So if you say, what does Stegosaurus mean? Then someone can say, oh, it's a dinosaur. It's kind of like, it's a sort of short guy and it has a bunch of spikes on its back and it has a long tail and it gets into a fight with a Tyrannosaurus Rex if you saw the movie Fantasia by Disney. Okay. So in this sentence, what does complication mean? It means problem. Okay. The next pattern you can use is, can you tell me more about blah, blah, blah? So on a topic that you would like more information about, you can say, can you tell me more about the soccer game last week? Can you tell me more about the plan for the party next week. So something you would like more information about, you can say, can you tell me more about this thing? Okay, so in a sentence, can you tell me more about your sandwich options? That is a useful sentence.
Very useful.
That is a useful sentence. Okay, in this sentence here, we don't have that back home. Can you tell me more about it? This is used the reverse pattern. Okay, the next expression is, if it were up to me. If it were up to me. I had to teach this in a class a couple weeks ago, actually. If it were up to me means if I could make the decision, if this were my decision, blah, blah, blah. So meaning if I could make the choice, this is what I would do. But one point here is, the nuance is, it is not my decision. This is not my decision. But if it were my decision, I would do blah, blah, blah. So for example, if it were up to me, every day would be Saturday. Woo, woo, woo. But it's not, right? So that's always the underlying, that's always the kind of basic nuance of this phrase. This decision is not mine. Okay, here the example is, if it were up to me, I would take my boss to dinner. Oh my, things just got scandalous. The next pattern is, I feel like blah, blah, blah. You can use I feel like when you introduce a suggestion or something that you would like to do, especially for food, drinks, or activities. So, for example, I feel like coffee. I feel like Italian food. I feel like an action movie. There's some activity or something you would like to do at the end of this pattern. I feel like bowling this afternoon. Something needs to go here, some sort of activity. Of course, you can use this expression to talk about your feelings. I feel like something, but this something must be a noun. It must be a noun. Like if you feel really great, I feel like $1,000,000, for example. If you feel really bad, I feel like garbage. That's a nice expression that somehow just came out of my head. Anyway, you can use this in two ways, but this must be completed with a noun phrase at the end of the sentence. 10 things to do in the summer in the United States. So let's go. To travel abroad. To travel abroad. To travel abroad. Abroad means outside of your country. So meaning to travel to a place not the United States, in my case. Please don't forget to in this expression. So many of my students will say, this summer I'm going Europe. You need to use to before the place. You do not, however, need to use to before there. So like students sometimes will say, I want to go to there. You can't do that. You have to use to before the specific name of a place. There is not a specific place, so you don't need to use to. Keep that one in mind. To relax at the beach. To relax at the beach. Ah, that sounds fantastic right now. To relax at the beach. You go to the beach and you just relax there. You lay in the sun, you go swimming, maybe you drink a beer, you get a tan if you would like to do that, of course. Some people don't. You put on sunscreen, whatever it is that you like to do at the beach, you just do that and enjoy. In a sentence, I would rather relax at the beach than have a really active vacation. To learn English with EnglishClass101.com. To learn English with EnglishClass101.com. Thanks! So I guess if you are very ambitious this summer, good for you. You can learn English by doing what you're doing now. Or I think you can I presume you can visit the website for more content there too. I'm going to put my time to good use and learn English at EnglishClass101.com. To have a barbecue. Oh yeah, the next one is one of my favorite things ever to do in summer, wherever I am. It's to have a barbecue, or to have a BBQ is also okay, but barbecue usually. BBQ is in like writing. I love having barbecues with my friends in the summer. Every 4th of July, my family has a big barbecue. To party all night. The next expression is to party all night. To party all night, it doesn't have to be summer or the United States to party all night. Just saying. Anyway, to party all night means to do something. You enjoy, presumably with your friends, or not, I guess. I partied like all night at home. I tweeted pajamas are the best, and then I tweeted a picture of myself really excited about a cookie and was very embarrassed about that the next day, so I deleted it in the morning. Since I won't have school in the morning, I'm going to party all night. In a different sentence, I don't like partying all night. I get tired. I always hit a wall at like 3 a.m. Like I'm like, yay! And then 3 a.m. I'm like, I'm ready to sleep. To get a tan. To get a tan. To get a tan, in some cultures this is a good thing. In some cultures it's not a good thing. It means to sit in the sun or lay in the sun and let the sun change the color of your skin. Be careful. There are two expressions in English. There's one to get a tan and another is to get a sunburn. So in US culture anyway, getting a tan means like your skin turns like a darker brown color. But when it turns red, it's bad. That means you've burned your skin. So tan, good, burn, bad. So we'd have two separate words to describe that. In a sentence, you'll find me poolside getting a tan. To go hiking. The next expression is to go hiking. So hiking means walking or trekking, usually in a mountain or in a nature setting. So in a sentence, I used to go hiking with my family every summer. That's roughly true. In this sentence, I'm going to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. To work a part-time job. The next expression is to work a part-time job. To work a part-time job is very common if you're a student especially. So when you have your summer vacation, it's a chance for you to earn a little bit of money by working at a part-time job. In a sentence, unfortunately, she can't go because she has to work at her part-time job. When I was a teenager, I had a part-time job at a golf course. Yeah, because I was on the golf team at school. Very convenient, lovely experiences. A+, everybody. To have fun with friends. To have fun with friends. Also something that you do not need to only do in summer, but which you can do anytime. We're having fun now, aren't we? Yay! So to have fun with friends is just to enjoy time with your friends. It's great. In a sentence, I love having fun with my friends whenever I can. He has fun with friends, but he doesn't do much else. Oh. To attend summer school. The next one is to attend summer school. To attend summer school usually has kind of a bad image I feel, in the US anyway, because it sounds like maybe you missed something in regular school. But for some people, maybe there's a special course they want to attend or like a special internship program or just something special extra that they would like to study. In a sentence, I hated going to summer school when I was a kid. Since I failed the class, I'll have to attend summer school. 20 must-know family words. So let's go. Mother. Mother is the person who gave birth to you. Mother, you can say mom, mother, mom, mama, mommy. My mother has amazing cooking. It's true. Father. Father. Father is the person who did not give birth to you, but who helped make you happen. So we say father, dad, daddy, pa, pop. My father is a very level-headed person. That's also true. Sister. Sister is a female sibling. So my brother might say, I have an older sister. Anyone who is, a female sibling or someone, you can use this for friends that you feel very, very close to, like she's like my sister. That's fine as well. Brother. Brother, we sometimes use bro for this. I would say I have a younger brother. Like sister, you can use brother for any male that you feel is similar to a brother, someone you feel very close to. So he's like a brother to me, or you're like my brother. Grandmother. Grandmother, when you put grand plus something else, it means the next generation or the previous generation. So you have your mother and father. In this case, grandmother means your mother or your father's mother. It can be either of them. So grandmother. My grandmother was born a long time ago. Grandfather. Grandfather. So just like grandmother, your mother or your father's father is your grandfather. My grandfather liked to play tennis. That's true. Uncle. Uncle. Your uncle is either your mother or your father's brother. Someone directly related to one of your parents who is a man is your uncle. My uncle is very good with woodworking. Also true. Aunt. Aunt. You might also hear aunt. Both of them are correct. You can say aunt or aunt. An aunt or an aunt is your mother or your father's female sibling. One of my aunts gave me a stamp collection when I was a little kid. That's also true. Cousin. Cousin. Cousin is your aunt or uncle's children. It can be on any side. So typically these people are of the same generation as you. Not always, but cousins are generally about the same age, at least in my family they are. It's really fun to see all my cousins at family barbecues. Nephew. Nephew. A nephew is a sibling's male child. So if you have a brother or a sister and they have children, any male children are your nephews. Nephews. I don't have any nephews. Niece. 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 So your brother or your sister's female children, any female children they have, you can say, she's my niece, or I have 2 nieces. How many nieces do you have? Or I have a lot of nieces. Wife. Wife. So this is a female partner that you are married to. She is my wife, or how is your wife? Wife is only used when you are married to that person. Husband. Husband is a male that someone is married to. So how is your husband? This is my husband. Again, husband is only used when you are married to that person. Parent. Parent. Parent, it's typically used generally for a mother or a father, like I'm a parent, he is my parent, she is my parent. It's often used in the plural. They are my parents. These are my parents. My parents are home. My parents are not at home. But you can also use parent to describe someone who raised you. So maybe your biological mother or father did not raise you, but someone else, like an aunt or an uncle, or perhaps a different figure in your community did raise you. You can say, she's like a parent to me, or she had a parenting role in my life. Child. Child. Child is a small human. A small human is a child. It doesn't necessarily have to be of your family. Like if you're just at the park and you see kids running around, you can say, ah, look at that child. You can use child in the singular, but be careful. Child changes in the plural form to children. So not childs, but children. 1 child, 2 children. Please be careful. This has an irregular plural form. Maybe I'll have a child someday. Son. Son is a male child, a male offspring. My uncle has a lot of sons. That's not true. Daughter. Daughter. A daughter is a female child. I wonder if I will ever have a daughter. Brother-in-law. Brother-in-law. So we use in-law to mean our married partner's family members. Not my brother, but my partner's brother. In-law is used after any family member's position or family member's title to show they belong to my partner's family originally. But now they're part of my extended family as well. I'm going out for drinks with my brother-in-law tomorrow night. Father-in-law. Father-in-law. So we have in-law here, meaning my partner's father. So my father-in-law is very kind. Mother-in-law. Mother-in-law, meaning my partner's mother. In a sentence, my mother-in-law and I get along really well.
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Today I'm going to be talking about the simple future tense. Today I'm going to talk about will and won't, and going to and not going to. So these are a few grammar points that learners make mistakes with. When should you use will or won't? When should you use going to or not going to? So I'm going to talk about a few of these points, a few basic points that I hope can help you decide when to use will and when to use going to. So let's begin. Okay. The first point I want to talk about is going to or not going to. The positive form and the negative form. Going to, not going to. For today, I want to talk about 2 times when we'll use these grammar points. So the first time The first situation where you use going to or not going to is for plans decided before the conversation. So if you make a decision about your future plans or someone else makes the decision before the conversation about their plans for the future, you should use going to or not going to. It's something that is probably going to happen, a high certainty. So this is a plan that has a high level of certainty, meaning there's a good chance this plan is going to happen. You decided it before the conversation, meaning you've probably had some time to plan your future, to plan your schedule a little bit. So please use going to for something you decide before the conversation. So on a timeline, it might look like this. We have past, now, and future here. So your plan is for the future, yes. But you decided on the plan sometime before the conversation. So if this point, this is now, this is your conversation, you made the plan, you made the decision before the conversation. In this case, use going to. I'm going to. At the beginning of this video, I said I'm going to talk about simple future tense, will and going to. I decided before this video started about my plans. I decided what I was going to talk to you about before the video started. So I used going to introduce that plan. So please keep this in mind. Okay, but let's talk about will now. So we use will and won't for decisions that are made at the moment of speaking. So keep in mind, will is the positive form, won't is the negative form here. So a decision made at the moment of speaking. This is one way to use will or won't. You can use this, for example, at restaurants. You can use this to talk about plans you make quickly after learning information from a friend. Keep in mind, will and won't tends to have a lower certainty. There's a lower chance the plan is going to happen because you made the plan at the moment of speaking. Going to is used for plans made before the conversation, but will is used for a plan made spur of the moment or a very quick plan you've just made. So that's kind of the image. Is the decision you just made? Use will or use won't in those cases. If you made the decision before the conversation, there's a good chance you should use going to. So, to go back to our timeline here, if going to is used for a decision you made in the past about your future plans, will is used for a decision you make in the conversation, during the conversation. The plan can be any time in the future, but the decision, the point at which you make the decision, is the difference here. One point about this, 2 points about this actually. First, will. If you've made a decision at the moment of speaking and you therefore should use will to communicate that decision, you can improve or you can communicate that there's a high chance it's going to happen with the word probably. So here, I'll show you this in an example sentence in a moment, but you can use probably with will and won't. I'll probably, I probably won't. Remember that order though. I'll probably, or I probably will, or probably won't. Point number 2 I want to mention about both of these grammar points is to make your pronunciation a little more natural. Try shortening both of these expressions. Going to shortens to gonna, G-O-N-N-A, gonna. I'm gonna, I'm not gonna. This sounds much more natural, at least in American English. For will and for won't, when you use will, use the contracted form with your subject. For example, I will becomes I'll. You will becomes you'll. They will becomes they'll. Using the contracted form sounds a lot more natural in everyday conversation. It's correct to say you will, they will, but it sounds really stiff and unnatural. So please use the contracted form to sound a bit more natural. You can use the contracted form with probably for will. I'll probably, they'll probably, we'll probably. These are all pretty good. Okay, so let's practice using them. All right. First example sentence, maybe something something, go hiking tomorrow. So how do we know? Is this a will sentence or a going to sentence? We have a hint here, maybe, maybe. So meaning there's a low level of certainty, perhaps, a low chance that this is going to happen. So let's say, maybe I'll go hiking tomorrow. This is probably the best answer. Maybe I'm going to. While you can communicate the idea, yes, it sounds like you decided your plan before the conversation, but you're using maybe, so it doesn't quite match. Instead, use I'll. Maybe I'll go hiking tomorrow. Okay, let's look at the next sentence. There's a big hint here, a grammar hint. I'm something something, go to France next year. So next year, go to France next year, this is a pretty big decision. Most people probably would not make this decision at the moment of speaking. So we should use going to. I'm going to go to France next year. This is the correct use of going to in this case. A decision made before the moment of speaking, and there's a high level of certainty here. Okay, let's look at the next one. I decided, here's a hint, past tense decided, if you watched a different video. I decided that I'm something something, go out for dinner. I'm too tired. Okay, so past tense, this shows us a big hint. Past tense, decided, this implies the decision was made before the conversation. So, I'm something something, go out for dinner. I'm too tired. Here's another hint. So go out for dinner and too tired. This should probably be, I'm not going to go out for dinner. I'm too tired. So this person has decided, I'm not going to go out for dinner. We should use going to, the negative not going to, because the speaker made the decision before the conversation happened, and there's a high level of certainty. There's a high chance that this is going to happen. So we should use going to in this sentence. Okay, so the next sentence I included because I think it's a really good one to remember. Anytime you visit a bar, a restaurant, some kind of service situation, you can use this pattern specifically to make a request for something. So let's take a look. Here, my example sentence is, I something something have a glass of wine, please. In this case, maybe it's at a restaurant or at a bar. But in this case, you've just made the decision, looking at the menu, looking at a catalog, looking at something. You made a decision just then, at that moment, and you're asking for that item, you're asking for that service. So we'll use will. I'll have a glass of wine, please. So in this example sentence, I used glass of wine to show my request, to ask for a glass of wine. But if you want to use this pattern to make a request in a service situation, just replace glass of wine with the item or service that you would like. So for example, I'll have a beer, I'll have a steak, I'll have a hamburger. These are all things you can order at a restaurant or at a bar. If you're shopping, you can say, I'll have the blue one, please, for example. So just make your request using the same pattern, but replacing that glass of wine section that I used in my example sentence. Okay, next one. This one is maybe a little bit challenging. It's you're running late, so you something something have to take a taxi to your next meeting. So maybe this is an assistant or someone supporting another person with their schedule. Okay, so in the next sentence, we're looking at a situation where there's been a sudden or quick change to a schedule. Someone is running late and there's a new decision that's made at the moment of speaking, or a new decision is made to reflect the new situation. So let's take a look. You're running late, so you'll or you will have to take a taxi. You could say you're running late, so you have to take a taxi, but maybe this is a future plan, something that's going to happen in an hour from now. Maybe this is something the speaker is planning for later in the day. So you will is a nice way to use that. You're running late, so you'll have to take a taxi to the next meeting. Okay. The last one I want to talk about, this uses probably, which I mentioned over here. So probably, remember, we can use probably to sort of improve, or we can use probably to communicate a higher level of certainty with the decision we made at the moment of speaking. So here, you're not going to the party, then I probably something something go either. Okay, so either is a big hint here. Remember, we use either to show agreement, but negative. Okay, so in the last example sentence for today, we're going to look at a situation where the listener has heard some new information. They use the expression, you're not going to go to the party, so they're confirming new information they have just heard. After that, they're going to make a decision about what their plans are for the party. So let's take a look. We know that probably can be used with will and won't, and we know from then the speaker just made this decision, and we know it's a negative with either. So we should use won't. You're not going to go to the party? Then I probably won't go either. So the speaker uses won't here to show a decision made at the moment of speaking, but the speaker also uses probably won't to show there's a high chance that this is going to happen. There's a high chance that this is the future plan. Probably won't. Okay, so there's a lot of information communicated there with small words like then and either and probably as well. So please keep this in mind when you're trying to decide when to use will, won't, going to, and not going to. Okay. So that's my recap of a few useful grammar points, how to talk about your future tense plans. So I'm going to finish the lesson now. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in a comment, or if you want to try out a few practice sentences, please feel free to leave those in the comment section too. If you haven't already, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel too. If you want to find more stuff like this, more lessons, more information like this, you can check out EnglishClass101.com. Thanks very much for watching this episode, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Today we're going to be talking about simple past tense. We're going to talk about how to make simple past tense statements in English. So let's get started. Okay, so first let's talk about when we should use the simple past tense. Simple past tense statements for today are for actions that started and ended in the past. So these are things that both started or began and ended in the past. Both of those must be true to use simple past tense. The second point for today is these are actions which happened at a specific point in time. So a specific point in time can be yesterday, it can be an hour ago, it can be last year, it can be when you were a kid. All of these are a specific point in time, but the key is that we know when the action happened. So specific point in time is point 2 for this grammar point. Third, we can use simple past tense for repeated actions in the past. So things you did every week or every month or every year, every summer, every hour if you like. But one point about this, make sure to include a frequency indicator if you want to talk about an action that repeated in the past. Frequency indicator, for example, I just mentioned a few: every week, every month, every year. So frequency meaning how often. An indicator shows how often you did that. So you can use repeated actions with past tense to show. let's see, something you did a lot in the past, for example. So to give you a visual, the past is down here, now is this point here, and future is up here. When we use the simple past tense, it's an action that started and ended in the past, somewhere before now. That's one. It's at a specific point in time. So this action and this action, we know when they happened. It could be this morning, it could be yesterday, for example, but we know when these actions happened. Third, we can use for repeated actions, so maybe these actions repeat, but we know when the repetition happened. We know when we repeated these actions, so it's okay to use simple past tense to describe those. Okay, so now we know when we should use simple past tense. We know why we should use simple past tense, but how do we make simple past tense statements? So when you want to use the simple past tense to explain an action that happened in the past, you need to conjugate your verb. You need to change your verb. So that means when you're using a regular verb, you do verb plus ed. So verb plus ed is the basic form for simple past tense verbs. But keep in mind, this is only for regular verbs. Not all verbs are regular verbs. So for example, some common ones are talk, which becomes talked, start, which becomes started, and enjoy, which becomes enjoyed. Please be careful, however. You'll notice that the past tense form of verbs has a few different pronunciations. So for example, start becomes started. It has an ID sound. It's not an ED sound, but an ID sound. You might hear a word like walked also, which has a sort of T sound about it. Walk becomes walked, started becomes started, an ID sound. And then there's also a sound like in breathed, a very soft D sound. So there are three past tense verb sounds to listen for. An id sound, started, a soft D sound like breathed, and then a more hard T sound like walked. So pay attention to that when you're trying to make these past tense verb conjugations. Okay, but some verbs are irregular verbs. Irregular verbs do not have a simple rule for understanding past tense conjugation, how to change them in past tense. There's no rule for these. You simply have to practice. You have to remember them, read them, listen to them, until you can remember the correct conjugation, the correct way to change these verbs into the past tense. So, for example, some common ones are eat, which becomes ate, speak becomes spoke, and make becomes made. If you see a verb somewhere that seems a little odd, or you're not sure what the present tense form would be, you can check a dictionary and try to remember it from there. So now we've talked about simple past tense irregular and regular verbs. Let's try to use them to make some sentences. I prepared a few example sentences, so let's take a look. Okay. First sentence, he, something, something, a towel and sunglasses to the beach. So the verb here is bring. I want to use the verb bring. Bring, however, is an irregular verb, so I can't use the ed rule for regular verbs. The correct conjugation is brought. B-R-O-U-G-H-T. He brought a towel and sunglasses to the beach. This is the correct conjugation here. So bring is an irregular verb. Okay. Let's go to the next sentence. They, something, something, to the gym every day last week. So here I'm showing you a repeated action. Here I'm using every day. This is a frequency indicator. How often did I do that action? And last week shows the specific point in time. So I'm using both of these 2 points in addition to a simple past, the basic simple past structure here. So the verb that we want to use here is go, but go is an irregular verb, so we can't use goed, for example. Go changes to went in the past tense, so went is the correct answer for this sentence here. Okay. Let's try the next one. I something something to tell my boss about my schedule. So the verb I want to use here is forget. Forget is a very useful word, I think, to remember. But again, forget is not a regular verb. Forget is an irregular verb, so we cannot use the ed form. Forget in the past tense becomes forgot. Okay. So, I forgot to tell my boss about my schedule is the correct sentence here. All right, let's go to something a little bit different. Here's a negative sentence. I don't think they something something a reservation at the restaurant. Okay, so here I'm using a phrase. I want to use the phrase make a reservation, to make a reservation. So the verb here is make. This was one of my example verbs for the irregular form. So make becomes made. I don't think they made a reservation at the restaurant is the correct verb form to use here. All right. The next sentence, we something something junk food almost every day last month. So here, again, I have every day, but I have almost here. So almost every day, not every day, but close to every day. And then last month. Last month is my specific point in time in this case. So here we have junk food. That means that the verb we want to use is probably eat. And we learned that eat is an irregular verb. There's no rule for conjugating this. We just know that eat becomes ate. We ate junk food almost every day last month. Great. Okay. So next sentence has two spaces for verbs, actually. Okay, so the next sentence that I've prepared, I included because a lot of my students ask about how to report information. When you want to report information, share something that you heard from a friend, a past tense action, you need to conjugate the reporting verb. For example, say becomes said, or hear becomes heard. You need to conjugate this verb, and you need to conjugate the information that you heard. So there are two past tense conjugations that should happen when you report information. Let's take a look. So here we have she something something, she something something, a great time at the party. So here, she blah blah blah, a great time at the party. So we use the expression to have a great time, to have a great time. Again, have is an irregular verb, so we conjugate it to had. She had a great time at the party. Okay. But then to report your speech, so someone gave you information, past tense, give becomes gave you information. So the verb for giving information, a neutral way to pass information is say. So to conjugate say into the past tense, it's an irregular verb, so we use said. Say becomes said. So she said she had a great time at the party. Okay. Please be careful of your pronunciation with the word said. A lot of people I've heard use said. Said is not correct, so please use said. It sounds like S-E-D, the pronunciation, but it's said. S-A-I-D is the spelling. Say becomes said. She said she had a great time at the party. Okay, so last one. Okay, so the last example sentence for today includes spaces for a few different verbs. I included this because I wanted to show you that you can use a lot of different information in one sentence just by connecting your past tense verbs together. So let's take a look. Okay, yesterday I something something late, something something shopping, and something something to my mother. Okay, so the verbs I want to use for this sentence are sleep, go, and speak. Sleep, go, and speak. These are all irregular verbs. There are no regular verbs in this sentence. So sleep in past tense becomes slept. Go in past tense becomes went. And speak in past tense becomes spoke. So here in one sentence, I have explained three things about my day yesterday. Yesterday I slept late, I went shopping, and I spoke to my mother. So you can explain a lot of things with past tense and a few connecting words. In this case, I've just used and to connect the last two things in this sentence. So please keep this in mind when you're sharing information about your past events. So today we talked about the simple past tense, and we talked about how to conjugate both regular and irregular verbs. It might seem a little bit difficult to understand which verbs are regular and which verbs are irregular, but with some practice it will become easier. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure to leave us a comment and let us know. Also, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks very much for watching. Check us out for more at EnglishClass101.com, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!
Want to speak real English from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at EnglishClass101.com.
Why is the Jurassic Park theme song coming out? Hi everybody, my name is Alicia, and today we're going to be talking about 15 questions that you should know. So these are 15 questions that not necessarily you need to know how to ask them. Perhaps you know some of the questions already, but you will probably also hear these questions as well. So we'll practice a few different answers for these questions too. So let's get started. Do you like American food? The first question is, do you like American food? You will probably be asked this question. Do you like American food? You can either say yes or no, or you can give a specific example. Someone says, do you like American food? Yes, I love Philly cheesesteaks. I would recommend saying yes or a little, or you can just say, I don't know. What do you recommend? Have you been to the United States? The next question is, have you been to the United States? Have you been to the United States? So if someone asks you, have you been to the United States? You should reply with either, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. Or maybe, no, I haven't yet, but I want to. When you want to ask someone this question, you can say, have you been to Japan? Have you been to Egypt? Have you been to China? Whatever. You can use your own country when you ask this question. How are you? How are you? When someone asks, how are you? Don't say, I'm fine, thank you, and you? Please don't say that. Please say something more natural, like good, great, I'm good, how are you? Something like that is much better than I'm fine, thank you, and you. Be a little more genuine in your reply. Also, when you ask this question, maybe one point to help you sound a little more natural when you ask someone else. Don't try to say, how are you? How are you? Instead of how are you? Or and make sure your intonation is correct. I've had a few people ask me, how are you? Like a little too, like, yeah, with this question, or like, how are you? But how are you should be the intonation with this. How are you? How are you? Is a little bit more natural. How long have you been studying English? How long have you been studying English? How long have you been studying English? Great question to know the answer to. Your answer should be, I have been studying English for blah, blah, blah years, or blah, blah, blah months, or blah, blah, blah weeks. But if that's too much for you, you can just use the time. How long have you been studying English? 6 years. How long have you been studying English? 2 months. So just pick the time if the whole sentence is quite long for you. How old are you? We don't really go around asking people how old they are, like just the first time you meet them necessarily, especially if they're older, much older than you. Like in particular, it's sometimes considered rude to ask, especially women, how old they are. So just be careful with this question. But if you're about the same age group, maybe you're at an event or a party or something and you just want to check how old the other person is, you can use this phrase. When you reply to this, just say, I'm plus the number, to make a really simple response. So how old are you? I'm 15. How old are you? I'm 42. Whatever the answer is, just stick I'm in front of it. Not I, but I'm. I am. But use the contracted form to sound more natural. I'm number. If you want to make a full sentence, you can say I'm number years old. Don't forget that S in years. I'm 1,000,000 years old. What did you say? What did you say? If you couldn't quite hear something that someone else said, you can use this question to confirm. Sorry, what did you say? It's a little nicer than just saying, what? What did you say? Or what did you just say? Sorry, what did you say? I couldn't hear you. What's this? What's this when you don't know what something is? What's this? When you're out for dinner, you're out for lunch or something and you find a new food, you're curious, just say, what's this? To reply to this question, just say, it's blah, blah, blah. What's your name? What's your name? Of course, you should know how to ask this question and how to answer this question. What's your name is a little more natural than what is your name? Again, contracted form will help you sound much more natural. So what's your name? Someone asks you, you can just give your name. Alicia. That's fine. You can say Alicia. You can say, I'm Alicia. That's fine too. You can say, my name is, or my name's Alicia. Either, any of those are fine. In a more formal situation, a business situation, I would use, my name is, blah, 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 while I shake hands or something. What's your phone number? The next one is, what's your phone number? I would not ask this question right away. Like, maybe you've met the person a few times, but you'd like to contact them, whether it's because you're romantically interested in them or because you want to be better friends with them. But just, if you meet someone for the first time and you're like, what's your phone number? It's like a little, it's a little too much. So use this question after you've met the person a few times and you want to become better friends. When you want to give your phone number, just say, it's and the number. That's fine. Just it's blah, blah, blah. Or my phone number is blah, blah, blah with the number 555-1,000,526. When is your birthday? So maybe you want to plan a birthday party, for example, or it's just another fun question the first time you meet someone. When is your birthday? So when you want to tell someone your birthday, just give the month and the date. January 15th, August 42nd. That's a real day. If you want to make a full sentence, you can say my birthday is, month, date. Where are you from? The next question is where are you from? This can refer to your country or your city, but I feel like most often it refers to your country. So where are you from? Your answer should be I'm from place. I'm from China. I'm from Japan. I'm from Vietnam. I'm from America. Whatever. I'm from bleh. Where did you learn English? The next question is, where did you learn English? Where did you learn English? If you're speaking great English, you can say, I learned English at EnglishClass101.com. Because you did, because you're watching now. Anyway, where did you learn English? In this case, in the case of like these videos, I learned English online, or I learned English from, and then the school name or the program name. So I learned English from EnglishClass101.com, for example. If you studied English at university, you can say, I learned English at university. Or I learned English from my friends, perhaps. Where do you live? Where do you live? Depending on the situation where you're asked this can mean your country, like I live in America, I live in China. Sometimes it's about the place in the city where you live, sometimes it's about the country where you live. So you can kind of feel, I think, which type of question is being asked. Where do you work? Where do you work is talking about your job. You can use the pattern, I work at company name, or I work for company name. Either is fine. I work at ABC Company. I work for ABC Company. Either is okay. But, if you have answered with the wrong information, the other person will just ask you, like, oh, I mean, where is your office? Or, oh, I mean, which company do you work for? Use the force for this one. Where is the bathroom? Where is the bathroom? Very important question. Where is the bathroom? In American English, where is the bathroom or where is the restroom is more common than where is the toilet. Using the word toilet is a little bit too direct in American English, so I recommend bathroom or restroom. So those are 15 questions that you should definitely know. Know how to ask these questions and know how to answer these questions. They are very useful and very important for everyday conversation. Thanks very much for joining us. Thank you very much for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to do so that you can check our fun stuff every week. With that, we will see you again next time. Bye! If you are a baby watching this video, please contact us because you're amazing.
Did you know my birthday is January 15th before you said that?
No, is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah! Thunderdome in my stomach. That's going at the end of a video, I'm sure. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia, and today I'm joined again in the studio by...
Michael, hello.
And today we're going to be talking about bad habits in English. So these are some things that we've heard before or mistakes that native speakers and non-native speakers of English make and that drive us crazy. So let us begin. You start. What's your first thing?
This doesn't bug me too much until someone points it out about me, and then it drives me nuts. Yeah. Okay, once you tell someone that they say or like too much, then every time they say it, they notice it, and it's really hard to get a thought out because these are filler words that you almost always use, or I always use, maybe Americans always use, but it's really tough not to use the word like or I think, when you're just speaking casually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, like...
Right?
Now?
See?
Why
Exactly.
did you have to make it the first word? Why did you have to make it the first one? Actually, we talked about that. We have a video, I think, probably like a year ago, one of the English Weekly Words videos, where the word like was one of the words that Americans overuse. I don't know where that information came from, but that was, see, oh my God, now I'm suddenly aware of it.
Right.
Why, oh
just
God,
killed this whole video.
this whole thing, I'm going to be thinking about how often I say like and Okay, let's see, I'm going to go to one that I think all of us talked about and all of us were aware of before we even turned the camera on, but this one is written. This is a written problem that drives me nuts, and there are so many variations on this with other words, but this is the big one. Your, Y-O-U-R, this is a do not equal sign, Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. So this one, your, Y-O-U-R, is a possessive word. This is your shirt, your bag, your whatever. Y-O-U apostrophe R-E is a contracted form of you-are. Interestingly enough, though, I will say that I rarely see non-native speakers of English make this mistake. Most of the time, it's native speakers who make this mistake. Come on, guys. Really? It just drives me nuts.
Yeah, that one
really drives me nuts.
That one bugs me too, because it's really simple. I mean, there's another one that still kind of bugs me, but I'm more forgiving, is its and its, because they're both I-T-S, and one of them has an apostrophe, and in both cases, it seems reasonable, because you can use an apostrophe for possessive or for a contraction. So both seem reasonable. And you just have to do like, a mnemonic device, figure it out. There's rules. I'm sure there's a, English class 101 episode on it,
No
but,
apostrophe is the one that's the possessive. The apostrophe S is the one that's short for it has or it is.
Right. But it makes sense. It's kind of tough for some people to remember. You or your and your, that really upsets me.
Yeah.
Just because it's so easy.
It's simple. That and there, we talked about this earlier before this. The there, and there. The possessive T-H-E-I-R. For that's their house, that's their dog, T-H-E-R-E, it's over there, and T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E, they are. There are three different theirs. Sound the same, but they have different meanings, and they should be spelled differently too. So, come on, native speakers, get it together. Okay. All right, next one for you. What's your next one?
Along the same lines of being just like correct, could of. So I think the problem with a lot of these words is, so it's supposed to be could have. But when you're speaking the language, any language, you make it quicker and quicker and you kind of slur the words together. So like, for example, grandma or grandma. Like native speakers, you don't really say the D, you just say like grandma. And so as a kid, I thought that's how you spelled it. And I remember spelling G-R-A-M-M-A. Someone told me, no, that's not it. So could have, it makes sense why people would say could have, but it's not proper, and you shouldn't get in the habit of doing it. I think most of these things, you can be forgiving when they're kids, but it's best to nip it in the bud because, it just becomes a bad habit.
Yeah, and I mean, with could have, there is a correct contracted spelled version. It's just could have apostrophe V-E, could have. I mean, I would argue that it's more casual and it's perhaps not the most correct thing to write. I probably would just write could have. I probably wouldn't use the contracted form so much. Use of contractions will make you sound more casual. If you want to write a formal letter, I feel you should not use contractions. If you're writing an academic paper as well, don't use contractions. Spell it out, spell the whole thing out. You'll sound much more formal and more, at least in my mind, more educated. All right, great. This topic is getting me all like fancy. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go to, another pronunciation issue. that I feel like almost is cool now. Okay. Let me ask you a question. This pronunciation, okay, so I've written ax on this card, but it's ask, A-S-K, let me ask. Okay, so this let me, which we talked about in a previous video, which is short for let me, I've contracted it here to the very casual let me. But I've used let me here because this is typically said in a very, very casual setting. Let me ask you a question. But the pronunciation of ask should not be ax. It's ask. Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you something. It's not ax. It's ask. Ask.
Yeah, this one, again, so like lemmy is okay. I think most people say lemmy. I think that's okay. But for some reason, ax, I think a lot of these just are not even close at all. Let me, when you say it really fast, it sounds like lemmy.
Lemmy.
Right? But when you say ax, it's just totally wrong.
Well, it's reversing the consonants in the word ask.
Right, it's not faster. You're not making it quicker. You're not slurring or making, putting it into one little like fluid blob. It's just, you just switch the two syllables. Or
Similarly, I hear this with the word asterisk as well. The little star that's on like the number 8 on your keyboard or whatever, this looking thing, it's not an asterisk or what, I don't even know, it's asterisk.
So, overpronunciation. So this one is kind of the opposite direction. So this whole time we've been kind of nitpicking when you use the incorrect version of a word. I think overpronunciation can also be equally as damaging, but instead of making you look stupid, it makes you look pretentious. So for example, we don't say in English, we don't use all of the syllables with chocolate. So it's like when you spell it, chocolate. Wait, chocolate, right? And so like maybe in Spanish or something like that, they would still say that, like chocolate or something, whatever. But with English, we took it out. And so even though you still spell all of those syllables, native speakers now say chocolate, chocolate. Or like comfortable, comfortable. That's how it's spelled. But native English speakers, we say comfortable. And this is like, now I think it's like unanimous. So maybe when slang becomes so popular that it's part of the new language, the language is now evolved, if you don't go with the flow, even though it's incorrect, I think you sound pretentious.
That's a great one. I like that a lot. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. I have 2 actually. I think I can do them quickly though. Do you have any more, by the way? No?
No.
Okay, then I'll go quickly. These are 2, my last 2 are just a couple that my students actually struggle with, so maybe this is something that you can work on as well. This one, just an example sentence, I want to go to there. I've underlined the word to here. We use the word to when we're talking about a specific city or a specific country, like I want to go to New York, I want to go to Europe, but there is not a specific location. I want to go to there. Is not a specific place. So you don't need to use to in this sentence. I want to go there is perfectly fine. So this is a mistake that non-native speakers, it seem to make from time to time. Perhaps. Okay. And then another one that I've heard a lot recently is this phrase, in case of, and then a country. So for example, in case of China, in case of Egypt or whatever, where someone is trying to explain like the political situation or a policy in that country, in case of. But actually, you don't need to use case of, just in China, in Europe, in Japan, whatever. You don't need to use case of. This pattern, in case of, is used for like an emergency situation or used to talk about alternate plans, often to do with weather. So for example, in case of rain, the event will be canceled. Or in case of tornado, please go to your nearest evacuation center. I don't know, something like that. So it's used for like an emergency situation. It's not used to talk about policies in a country. It's just used in plus the place. It's much better, much more natural. So those are a few things that I've noticed that non-native speakers struggle with sometimes. So perhaps they'll be helpful for you as well. So thanks very much for watching. If you have a bad habit that you've noticed when you're speaking English, or if you've noticed a bad habit in somebody else in their English speaking or their writing or whatever, please leave it in a comment. Let's compare. It might be interesting to see if there are any other things that people tend to struggle with. Thanks very much for watching this episode, and we will see you again soon. Bye!
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia, and today we're going to be talking about 10 of the hardest words to pronounce according to you guys. So we collected some information from you on Facebook. Thanks very much for sending in your ideas. And these were the top 10 most difficult words for you to pronounce. So let's get started. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely might be tough to pronounce. Absolutely means 100%. Absolutely is an agreement phrase. Are you going to that music event next week? Absolutely. Yes, 100%, definitely. Absolutely. Loot, like a lute. L-U-T-E. Begrime. Begrime apparently means dirty. I have never heard nor used this word before, but perhaps it's difficult to pronounce. Begrime. The door to my apartment was begrimed in the storm last week. Breakfast. The next word is breakfast. Breakfast is hard to pronounce, but that is the meaning of breakfast. You're breaking the fast. So a fast is a period of time without eating, and to break means well, in this case, breaking something. It doesn't refer to like crushing a thing, but stopping something. To break the fast of the night, in other words. So you're fasting during the night, you're not eating, so you wake up in the morning, you break the fast. But we don't say break fast, we say breakfast. In a sentence, this morning for breakfast, I ate a bowl of cereal with grapes, and I had a coffee too. Colleague. Colleague, yes, colleague. Many of my students struggle with this. They say colleague, or they say colleague or something, because the spelling of this word is really, really strange. There's that G-U-E at the end. Or more commonly, I feel, it's just coworker. Colleague sounds slightly more formal to me than coworker. Somebody who you work with, or somebody who you have a business relationship with in some sense. Could be a person from another company, could be somebody from your own company. Anyone who you do business dealings with is your colleague, can be your colleague. In a sentence, I'm going to a networking event with my colleagues next week. Miscellaneous. That M-I-S-C, miscellaneous. It's just the spelling, I think, maybe is confusing for this word, miscellaneous. Miscellaneous just means other stuff, or just other uncategorized stuff. I keep a lot of miscellaneous items in a drawer in my house. Maybe they don't really fit into one category, like it's not kitchen things, it's not clothing. It's just sort of a mixture of things, miscellaneous things. Negotiation. The next word is negotiation. Negotiation, yeah, there are two T's in this, but neither T is a hard T. They're both very soft, that sh sound, because they're followed by the I and another vowel, the she, a negotiation. Negotiation refers to a compromise between two people. You're trying to make a decision and you negotiate. In this case, that's the noun form, negotiation. Business negotiations continued for more than a month with this important deal. Realm. Realm, I see why this one's hard. It's that realm part, the realm. It's a weird word, isn't it? It's used to talk about just like the kind of a fantasy world is sort of the nuance of this phrase, the realm. In a sentence, let us go to the realm where the elves live and eat their bread. Unfortunately. The next word is unfortunately. 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 It just means too bad. You can use this to start bad news, for example, like unfortunately I can't come to work today because I'm sick, or unfortunately I broke my arm at the basketball game last week, or unfortunately my haircut is bad. Vocabulary. 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 Vocabulary just refers to the words in a language. My vocabulary in my second language is really, really low. I need a bigger vocabulary so that I can express myself more clearly. World. World. Ah, I see why this one's hard. World, world, hard to pronounce. That RLD, I think, together is tough. Plus that W at the beginning as well. It's such a short word, but you have to say so many weird things at the same time. World. Your tongue is going blah, blah, like this. In a sentence, I have traveled all over the world, and the best food is in my stomach. That's the end. So those were 10 hard to pronounce words. Give them a try slowly at first and just kind of try to work up to saying it at a more natural speed if you like. Thank you so much for sharing your opinions with us on Facebook. And please make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any of this fun information. So thanks again for watching today, and we'll see you again next time. Bye!
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia, and today we're going to be talking about 10 phrases that you always want to hear. So let's begin. You win. The first phrase is you win. You win. If you hear the phrase you win, it means you have won something. You are probably going to receive something for free. Woo! That's a very happy thing, right? You want to get free things. Congratulations! You win a car! Yay! Here are the keys to your new car. Great, thank you! I brought you something special. This is exciting to hear because it means this little something special is like, oh, I thought only of you, so I brought you this. I brought you something special. Really? Thank you. I miss you. I miss you. I miss you is nice. You can use this with your friends, your family members, your partner, whoever. I miss you shows that you want to meet the other person. Probably you haven't seen them as much as you would like to, so you can say, I miss you. I miss you. Call your husband or wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever on the phone. Maybe you haven't seen them for a long time. You can say, I miss you. I miss you too. Take a break. I'll do the cleaning today. Take a break. I'll do the cleaning today. This means someone else is going to clean up your house for you or clean up something for you. I would be very happy to hear this phrase right now because my apartment is a disaster because I'm only there to sleep. So maybe you've had a long day at work or a long day doing something. You come home and somebody else has offered to do this for you. So take a break. I'll do the cleaning today. And you can reply, really? Thank you so much. I'm going to relax. The budget is unlimited. The next phrase that you always want to hear is the budget is unlimited. The budget is unlimited. This could be at work. This could be a budget, a personal budget maybe, but it just means there's no limit to the budget. You can spend as much money as you want. Woohoo! Very exciting. So let's see, in a business context, perhaps you have this new client who's going to give you a lot of money to build a new house or something. Maybe you're building houses. That's your project. Your boss comes to you. The budget for this project is unlimited. Really? Let's go crazy. Dun, dun, dun. There'll be a bonus at the end of the month. Yeah, this is a phrase that you probably are very excited to hear. It means you are going to receive extra money from your job at the end of the month. Woohoo, very exciting, extra money. Maybe you'll hear this from your boss or your manager, or maybe your coworker at work, or maybe you see it in an email. There'll be a bonus at the end of the month. Really? I'm going to use mine to buy a new car. Really? I'm going to use mine to go out on a date. Really? I'm going to use mine to get a new fish. You did a great job. You did a great job. You did a great job is something you'll probably hear from, well, I don't know, you could hear this from pretty much anybody. Anytime you've done a good job, someone will congratulate you or tell you their opinion with this phrase. You did a great job. You finished a project at work and your boss says, you did a great job. Nice. Thank you so much. It was really fun. Or thank you. Just say thank you. You look great today. You look great today. The other person thinks that your physical appearance is nice today. Don't think about the today part, you know, just take the compliment. Be like, oh, really? Thank you so much. You look great today. Oh, thank you so much. I got a new haircut. Thank you so much. I got enough sleep. Yeah. You were right. You were right. This means that something that you said in the past was correct. And everybody likes to be correct, I think. I saw that movie that you recommended. You were right. It was really good. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Don't be like, I know, or yeah, I knew I was right. Don't do that. Just say, oh, good. I'm glad. You're an excellent cook. You're an excellent cook. This is a nice compliment, especially for someone who enjoys cooking. If you say, you're an excellent cook, it means you enjoyed their food. So let's see. At a dinner party, for example, you're an excellent cook. This food is delicious. Oh, thank you so much. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. And that's the end. So those are things that you want to hear. So keep in mind, it's nice for you to hear these things, but other people also want to hear them too. So compliment other people. Tell them that they are awesome if they're awesome. Tell them that they have good skills in whatever it is that they like to do. People like to be complimented. People want to be liked. So write them a message or say something nice to them. Yes, leave us a comment. We have a great team of people doing all these amazing things, so tell them how much you love them. So thanks so much for joining us for this week's lesson. We will see you again next time. Please make sure to subscribe if you have not already, so that you don't miss out on any fun stuff. Thank you very much again for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye! I guess I don't really need to do that. I'm so sorry. Amped all the time. Japanese bug bat. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia and I'm here in the studio today with
Michael, hello.
And today we're going to be talking about things that every American kid knows. So let's get right into it. These are going to be things that we think that maybe now, I imagine, most or all American kids are aware of or have done to some degree. So let's compare. Why don't you start us off?
This is a good one. I think everybody knows this. Everybody still should know this, is the magic word. So usually when you want to like get someone to say please, you're trying to teach little kids how to be polite, teach them proper manners. And so you say, what's the magic word? And they say, please. So like, for example, hey, Mom, can I have a cookie? What's the magic word? Can I have a cookie, please? And then you give them the cookie.
Yep. It's better than saying, say please, I feel like. Saying, what's the magic word is, I don't know, it's kind of like a more fun way to tell kids, like, be polite, you know? Say please and thank you.
Kind of hypocritical to be like, say please.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very polite, Mom.
Yeah, that's true. Nice one. Okay, good. All right, I'll go to my first one. I picked, okay, you'll see in a second maybe what I picked. Let's start with, let's see. Oh, I'll start with this one. I think kids probably all over the world are aware of this one or some variation. I don't know what it's called in many different languages, but hide and seek. Hide and seek is a very, very basic game. I mean, the game is explained pretty much here, hide and seek. So a bunch of kids hide and then one person usually seeks or looks for all the other kids. So this was one of those games that you'd play with a group of friends or even just, you know, like with one of your siblings if you don't have a whole lot of people. But the basic concept of the game is one or more people hide, and then a few seconds later, you go look for those people. I assume that you played this game. I assume that every child played this game.
Hours and hours and hours spent playing this game. So, I mean, there's different variations of the game, but like you have a home base usually. And so that's where the person starts. And you usually count to like, what, 30, 100?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And so you close your eyes, the person who's it, and they, okay, 1, 2, 3. And then when you are finished, you say, ready or not, here I come. And you try to find them. And then if you are hiding and you make it to the home base and you touch it, you're free. You made it. You win.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, multiple people can win. It's really like a young kid game.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I played it after 9 years old.
Yeah, I think maybe around junior high school was probably the last time that I played it. Yeah. Okay. Hide and seek. Yeah, play hide and seek. If you haven't, I don't know. I bet it'd be fun as an adult too, in the right situation.
Make it a drinking game, something like that. I don't know.
You said it, so I didn't have to. Okay. Let's go to your next one. What's your next one?
I guess talking about games, Thumb War.
Oh.
Thumb War. So I think most people do this around the world. They know the thumb war, which is like this, and you try to catch them. But the thing that not everyone knows is, and I think every American kid knows, is you say 1, 2, 3, 4.
I declare a thumb war. Ready, go.
Yeah.
Did you not have a ready go?
I don't remember that last part.
Oh, I had a ready go. Okay.
And then you try to get him. So
yeah, you try to fight and keep the other person's thumb down. In retrospect, that's not a very good game, is it?
Nah. Yeah, these are all
terrible game. Yeah, I did it too, though. But like
tic-tac-toe or something.
But people would always kind of like get a little bit too into it, and then they'd sort of like kind of try and rip their hands out of like
right.
Their
Or
grip
you use this finger, you cheat. What is that called? The hook? Like no hooks.
I'm not aware of the hook.
So like this, you do it and then you use this finger. So you're trying to do it. It's hard, and then you just cheat basically. So yeah, it's a stupid game for little kids, basically. It's like tic-tac-toe. You can play it like 1,000,000 times, and usually you get a tie. It's just like something to do when the teacher's talking, and it's just easy. You don't need a ball. You just kind of like, okay, let's play them.
You were a terrible child, weren't you?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Never listened.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go to my next one. Another game. I picked Duck, Duck, Goose. Yes? Yeah,
of course, everybody.
Goose. As I was writing this card, I was thinking to myself, why is it called Duck, Duck, Goose of all things? Okay, so the game is very, very simple, I think. You need a group of people for this one now, but you form a ring of children usually, and then there's one person who walks around the outside of the ring, and they touch each person on the head as they walk by and say, duck, 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 and then randomly, this one person will select one child and say, goose, you're the goose. And so if you are chosen as the goose, you have to get up and chase the other person around the circle and try to get back to the place where you were sitting down before them. No, you have to tag them, right?
the person who was going duck, 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 and then goose, they try to run around the circle and steal your spot.
Right.
And you, if you're fast enough, you can run around, and if you tag them, then they keep going, and you get your spot still.
Right. So it's like a seeded version of tag almost. But I don't know why we call it duck, duck, goose.
Yeah, no clue.
I don't know.
Okay, so this one is actually, I think it's like from Scotland or something. I don't know, I forgot, I looked it up. But eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So usually when you're trying to decide who, let's say you want to play hide and seek, and you don't know who's going to be the one who's it. So then you'll go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, make him pay $1,000 every day. Okay, you're it. And there's a few variations of that. Pretty much everyone knows that. I still use it to this day, honestly.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Eeny, meeny,
I think
miny,
that
mo.
most people shorten it though, because the whole tiger thing is quite long. So I think eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It's just a rhyme to choose someone. I mean, you could flip a coin or do like rock, paper, scissors or something like that. But for whatever reason, we do this eeny, meeny, miny, mo thing.
Did you ever do nose goes?
As a child, no. As an adult, for a drinking game, yes. See, this
Me
is the
too,
thing.
me too.
All the things that were like children's games become adult drinking games when you grow up.
Slowly get
We're
perverted.
very, very mature. Okay,
What's your
my
next one?
last one is truth or dare. Perhaps this is more for like junior high school and high school age, when you start getting a little bit more like curious is maybe the right word. So the game is, there are two choices that you can make in this game. Truth, where your friends will ask you a question and you have to reply with the truth to that question. So usually truth is like, who's the person that you like? Or do you want a boyfriend or do you want a girlfriend? Usually it's something like that. If you don't choose truth, then you have to choose dare. So dare is the choice where your friends get to tell you to do something, and it's usually something crazy. So you either have the option of being, in other words, humiliated by sharing something secret or humiliated by doing something embarrassing. It's a fun game of humiliation to play with your friends. I actually have some good memories playing this game. Nothing like bad, really. Just really, really silly stuff, actually. Like singing weird songs in front of like my friends' parents, that kind of thing.
Right, put underwear on your head or something.
Yeah,
For me, the one I remember that just came to mind is they told me, I was like, okay, dare. And then they said to go outside, act like a cow, get on all fours, and take a big mouthful of the grass and chew it. So that was kind of...
That's a creative dare.
Yeah, that was like, that's why I still remember it. Because usually they're just kind of like, I dare you to like, I don't know, drink too much ketchup or something. I don't know, just something kind of... Yeah, I don't know, that was a pretty good one.
Drink too much ketchup?
No, I don't, maybe I've never heard that either. I
Decide
don't
where too much ketchup is. That's too much ketchup. I decided 2 tablespoons is adequate.
It's like the...
Anyway.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Every time.
All right, I'm out. I think maybe you're out. Okay, great. So those are a few things that perhaps I think most, if not all, American kids know or are aware of. A lot of them were games. Maybe you have similar games in your country. So if you've had some interesting experiences playing these games, or if you have a game that's similar to one of the games or one of the ideas that we've talked about here, please let us know in a comment. It'd be interesting to compare. Any other ideas?
That's about it.
That's about it? Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us for this episode of English Topics, and we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Top Words. My name is Alicia, and today we're going to talk about 10 different ways to remember words. So these are actually some ways to remember words that you have sent in to us. So I'm really excited to see what your recommendations are. I study other languages, so let's talk about it. Let's see. I associate new words with words that sound similar in my native language. If you're studying English, your native language might share some words. So like I'm studying Japanese, and for example, the word chocolate sounds very, very similar in Japanese. So in English, the word is chocolate. In Japanese, the word is chocoreto. So it sounds similar. So that's an easy word for me to remember. I learn about the roots of words and how different words are related to each other.
Many words in English have roots in very, very old languages like Latin. So a word like omniscient, for example, can be broken down into maybe two parts. The omni meaning all or everything, and scient, the scient part, relates to knowledge or knowing. So together the word means all-knowing, omniscient. Maybe you can guess the meaning even if it's the first time you've seen the word. Okay. I listen to songs and memorize the lyrics. This is also a common way to help kids learn things too, through songs. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's a quadratic function equation. Because it's a song, it's still in my head. Thank you, Mrs. Syme. I often watch TV or YouTube videos that are designed for young children. That's how children in the native language learn, so it's a great tool for you. Don't be embarrassed to do that. I do that. In English, we have Dora the Explorer, we have Sesame Street. We have another channel that's made for children's content, but it could be useful for you. It's called Kids versus Life, so please be sure to check that out. I speak as often as possible with native speakers. A native speaker can go, that's a strange thing that you're saying. So there are a lot of small factors that you can't get unless you're speaking with a native speaker. So this is a really, really great tip. If you're interested in doing this with us, we have on EnglishClass101.com a special subscription, which is called the elite level of subscription, where you get to actually study with one of our teachers here. So if you don't have somebody that you can study with now, that might be a way to do it. Please check that out if you're interested. I try to use the language routinely in the context of daily life. When you're alone, just doing stuff at home, like making breakfast or cooking or doing the laundry, if you use the language just to say like, now I'm going to, I don't know, cut vegetables, or oh, I need to do laundry later today, or thinking about your appointment, whatever. Another good example is really, I put my phone into my target language. You're telling little stories when you're having conversations with people, so get used to telling yourself the story. I use repetition, reading, writing, and speaking words over and over again. Keep repeating in your studies, even if it feels like you're not making any progress. You are. Just the act of doing that repetition can be helpful for you. If a football player never throws a football, he's not going to be able to throw it very well, is he? You have to repeat, 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 and then when you're faced with the actual situation where you need to throw the football, you need to use that vocabulary word, you're ready. You already know how to say the word. So yes, repeat. It's good. I try to think in English, so it becomes natural to my thought process. I do this. I think about what I need to do. I think about what I have done. I think about what I'm going to do. And so in that way, you can practice past tense, future tense, and present tense. Recently, this has been happening to me. I've started dreaming in Japanese from time to time, or I dream bilingually. It's exciting, I think. I try to use the word in a simple sentence, so I learn whole phrases, not just individual words. Yes, this is a huge tip. So vocabulary is important, of course. If you don't know a key word, you might miss the meaning of something, but context is important too. So there might be two words which seem very similar, like big and large, for example, but when should I use large? When should I use big? Like if you're clothes shopping and you say, do you have this in a big size? It might not be the correct way to use the word. Instead, do you have this in a large size is the correct phrase. So learning how to use the correct vocabulary word at the correct time is important, and you can do that through studying sentences and phrases instead of just vocabulary. This is why reading is important, I feel. Reading as much as possible, especially the newspaper, helps me to remember words. When I was a kid, I just read everything. I was so into reading, I loved it, and I think that it actually helped my language skills improve, even in my native language. Again, at first it's really hard to do, and you might have to use a dictionary a lot, but you'll learn gradually more natural speaking patterns, more natural writing patterns too, which will help you to sound more natural when you speak, and maybe it can help your listening skills too, when you can listen for those patterns that you see in textbooks, that you see in newspapers, in novels, whatever. It's a great tool, reading. And thank goodness, that's the end. So those are 10 tips that you can use to remember new words and new phrases. Try them out. I'm going to be doing my best with my target language. I hope that you do too. Thank you very much for watching. Please, please, please subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and we will see you again soon for more exciting information. Bye. I have to go to the bathroom really bad. Okay.
You've arrived at your hotel and are almost ready to relax after your long trip, but the person at the front desk only speaks English. How do you check in? Hi, Alicia here. Checking in at a hotel in English is easy. In this lesson, you'll learn how. Gustavo just arrived at his hotel in New York. Let's watch.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Gustavo Silva. I have a reservation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silva. Could you spell your name, please?
Silva.
Thank you. Ah, yes, Mr. Silva. Here's your room key.
Is there a shop in this hotel?
No, but there's a small grocery store in the next building.
And is there any shampoo or conditioner in the room?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Oh, and a wake-up call, please.
Of course. What time?
At 7. But what time's breakfast?
From 6 to 7:30 a.m. in the dining room on the first floor.
Now with subtitles.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Gustavo Silva. I have a reservation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silva. Could you spell your name, please?
Silva.
Thank you. Ah, yes, Mr. Silva. Here's your room key.
Is there a shop in this hotel?
No, but there's a small grocery store in the next building.
And is there any shampoo or conditioner in the room?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Oh, and a wake-up call, please.
Of course. What time?
At 7. But what time's breakfast?
From 6 to 7:30 a.m. in the dining room on the first floor.
Here are the key words from the scene.
Grocery store.
Grocery store. Grocery store. Grocery store.
Shampoo.
Shampoo. Shampoo. Shampoo.
Conditioner.
Conditioner. Conditioner. Conditioner.
Dining room.
Dining room. Dining room. Dining room.
Reservation.
Reservation. Reservation. Reservation.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Sir.
Sir. Sir. Sir.
Room key.
Room key. Room key. Room key.
Small.
Small. Small. Small.
Next.
Next. Next. Next.
Building.
Building. Building. Building.
Of course.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
What time?
What time? What time? What time?
Floor.
Floor. Floor. Floor.
Here are the key phrases from the scene.
In the scene,
How did the hotel clerk ask Gustavo to spell his name?
Could you spell your name, please?
First is the phrase,
Could you
next is the word,
spell
after this is the phrase,
your name,
and last is the word.
please?
Together, it's
Could you spell your name, please?
to respond. You would give the spelling of your last name, first name, or both. Now you try. Say the hotel clerk's line when he asks Gustavo to spell his name.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silva. Could you spell your name, please?
In the scene, how did Gustavo ask for a wake-up call?
And a wake-up call, please.
First is the phrase,
A wake up call,
next is the word.
please.
Together, it's.
A wake up call, please.
Keep in mind that you will also have to tell the hotel clerk what time you want the wake-up call. Now you try. Say Gustavo's line to request a wake-up call.
Oh. And a wake-up call, please.
In the scene, how did Gustavo ask what time breakfast is served?
What time's breakfast?
The first word is.
What?
Next is a contraction of the words time and is.
Times.
Last is the word.
Breakfast.
Together, it's.
What time's breakfast?
This is a very useful, shortened way of asking about what time something is happening. You try. Say Gustavo's line to find out when breakfast will be served.
But what time's breakfast?
Now the lesson focus. Here's how to check in at a hotel. Ready? Do you remember the first thing Gustavo said to the hotel clerk in the scene after he introduces himself?
I have a reservation.
First is the phrase.
I have
Next is the phrase.
a reservation.
Together, it's.
I have a reservation.
Use this expression to indicate that you've reserved a room in advance. You can also use this phrase in other situations where you made a reservation, such as at a restaurant. Now you try. Imagine you have just come to a restaurant where you've made a reservation. What would you say?
I have a reservation.
Now imagine you've booked a rental car online and you're checking in to pick up your car. What would you say?
I have a reservation.
Do you remember how Gustavo asked if the hotel has a shop?
Is there a shop in this hotel?
First is the phrase,
Is there
and next is the phrase.
a shop
Last is the phrase.
in this hotel?
Together, it's.
Is there a shop in this hotel?
This structure allows you to easily ask if something is nearby or in a particular location. Start your question with,
Is there?
and then insert something you are looking for. Finally, add a location. Now you try. Imagine you're checking into a hotel and want to know if there's an ATM in the hotel. What would you say?
Is there an ATM in this hotel?
Now imagine you're in a shopping mall and want to find out if there's a coffee shop in the mall. What would you say?
Is there a coffee shop in this mall?
Do you remember how Gustavo asks if there is shampoo or conditioner in the room?
Is there any shampoo or conditioner in the room?
First is the phrase,
Is there any
next is the phrase,
shampoo or conditioner
and last is the phrase.
in the room?
Together, it's
Is there any shampoo or conditioner in the room?
this phrase structure is very similar to the one we just learned, except the word
Any.
is used to refer to uncountable nouns, such as shampoo, water, or bread. The structure is
Is there any?
followed by the item and location. Now you try. Imagine you're checking into a hotel and you want to know if there is bottled water in the room. What would you say?
Is there any bottled water in the room?
Imagine you're baking cookies and you want to know if there's any milk in the refrigerator. What would you say?
Is there any milk in the refrigerator?
Now it's time to practice your new ability. Let's practice. This is your chance to try checking in at a hotel in English. Try to remember what you learned and practice speaking. Ready? Here we go. What's the first thing you say to the hotel clerk to indicate that you've made a reservation in advance?
I have a reservation.
The clerk asks you to spell your name. How do you respond?
Could you spell your name, please?
The letters of your last name.
Silva.
After the hotel clerk gives you a room key, you want to know if there's a store in the hotel. How do you ask?
Is there a store in this hotel?
After the hotel clerk has answered your question, he asks you if you need anything else. How do you request a wake-up call?
A wake-up call, please.
Great job! You just mastered checking into a hotel in English. These phrases are very useful, so be sure to keep practicing. Well done! Now watch the scene one more time. After that, practice role-playing with an American friend, another English learner, or with us in the comments. Bye!
Good evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Gustavo Silva. I have a reservation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silva. Could you spell your name, please?
Silva.
Thank you. Ah, yes, Mr. Silva. Here's your room key.
Is there a shop in this hotel?
No, but there's a small grocery store in the next building.
And is there any shampoo or conditioner in the room?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Oh, and a wake-up call, please.
Of course. What time?
At 7. But what time's breakfast?
From 6 to 7:30 a.m. in the dining room on the first floor.
Imagine you've just landed after a long flight to America and you're almost free. But first you need to go through passport control. What will they ask you? How should you respond? Hi, Alicia here. Navigating passport control isn't as hard as you might think. In this lesson, you'll learn how. Gustavo has just arrived in New York. He's in line at passport control. Let's watch.
Next. Passport, please.
Hello. Here you are.
How long will you be staying?
For 6 weeks.
And where will you be staying?
At the Four Seasons Hotel.
What's the purpose of your visit?
I'm here on business.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the United States.
Now with subtitles.
Next. Passport, please.
Hello. Here you are.
How long will you be staying?
For 6 weeks.
And where will you be staying?
At the Four Seasons Hotel.
What's the purpose of your visit?
I'm here on business.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the United States.
Here are the key words from the scene.
Passport.
Passport. Passport. Passport.
Please.
Please. Please. Please.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Business.
Business. Business. Business.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Here are the key phrases from the scene.
In the scene, what did Gustavo say when he gave his passport to the immigration officer?
Here you are.
This short sentence helps indicate that someone is giving something to someone in response to a request. First is the word,
Here.
next is the word,
You
and last is the word.
are.
Together, it's.
Here you are.
Try saying this as Gustavo hands his passport over to the immigration officer.
Passport, please.
Hello. Here you are.
At the end of the scene, how does the immigration officer welcome Gustavo?
Welcome to the United States.
This is a polite and sometimes friendly way to indicate to someone that you're glad to have them to a home, place of work, or another place somehow belonging to you. It starts with the core phrase
Welcome to.
and then finishes with the location. In this case,
The United States.
try saying this after the immigration officer speaks.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the United States.
Now the lesson focus. Here's what you say to navigate passport control. Ready?
Do you remember the first question the immigration officer asked after Gustavo gave him his passport?
How long will you be staying?
Immigration officers ask this question to find out about the length of a visitor's stay. They want to know if a visitor plans to stay for 2 weeks, for example, or 1 month. First is the phrase,
How long?
next is the word,
Will
after this is the word,
you
and last is the phrase.
be staying
Gustavo responds with a length of time.
for 6 weeks?
First is the word,
For
next is the number,
6
and last is the word.
weeks.
Together, it's.
For 6 weeks.
The sentence structure to answer the question, how long will you be staying, is for plus number of days or weeks. Imagine you're going to stay for 2 weeks. Answer the question.
How long will you be staying? For 2 weeks.
Do you remember the second question the immigration officer asked Gustavo in the scene?
And where will you be staying?
This question is identical to the first question, except instead of saying,
How long?
the immigration officer asked,
Where?
the immigration officer is asking to find out which hotel or address a visitor will be staying at. Again, it's
Where will you be staying?
in response, Gustavo gives the name of his hotel.
At the Four Seasons Hotel.
First is the word,
At
and after this is the name of the hotel.
the Four Seasons Hotel.
Together, it's
At the Four Seasons Hotel.
the sentence structure to answer the question
Where will you be staying?
is at plus your hotel name. Imagine you'll be staying at the Plaza Hotel. Answer the question.
Where will you be staying? At the Plaza Hotel.
Do you remember the third question the immigration officer asked in the scene?
What's the purpose of your visit?
The immigration officer asks this to understand why Gustavo is visiting. First is a contraction of what and is.
What's?
Next is the word.
The
After this is the word.
purpose
Next is the word.
of
Following this is the word.
your
And last is the word.
visit.
Together, it's.
What's the purpose of your visit?
In response, Gustavo answers.
I'm here on business.
This starts with the core phrase.
I'm here on
Following this core phrase is the word.
business.
Altogether, it's.
I'm here on business.
This means that Gustavo is in the country to do business and not just to sightsee. Alternatively, he could have said,
I'm here for pleasure.
this is the same pattern as the first response. The only difference is that
On business.
has been taken out and
For pleasure.
is used instead. Again, that's.
I'm here for pleasure.
Now you try. Imagine your trip is for sightseeing. Answer the question.
What's the purpose of your visit? I'm here for pleasure.
Now imagine you are visiting the US on business. Answer the question.
What's the purpose of your visit? I'm here on business.
Now it's time to practice your new ability.
You've arrived to the United States, and you'll need to go through passport control. Ready? Here we go. The immigration officer asks you to show her your passport. What do you say when you give your passport to her?
Here you are.
How do you answer the question, how long will you stay?
For
The number of days or weeks.
For 6 weeks.
How do you answer the question, where will you stay?
at
Your hotel name.
At the Four Seasons Hotel.
You are on business in New York. How do you answer the question, what's the purpose of your stay?
I'm here on business.
Great job. You're ready to go through passport control. Keep up the good work, and remember to practice. Well done. Now watch the scene one more time. After that, practice with us in the comments until you're ready to go. Bye.
Next. Passport, please.
Hello. Here you are.
How long will you be staying?
For 6 weeks.
And where will you be staying?
At the Four Seasons Hotel.
What's the purpose of your visit?
I'm here on business.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the United States.
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia and today I'm joined by...
Michael, hello.
And today we're going to be talking about the college experience in the United States. So we're going to be sharing some things that we think are maybe very common if you attend a college in the United States. So let's begin. Why don't we start with you, Michael? What is your first item?
First item is 4 years. 4 years. This is something, I mean, it's not too exciting to talk about, but one of my friends from the UK was asking me about, how long does it take? What's the typical amount of time? Because I guess in the UK, and I'm sure this is different from wherever you are in the world, they do 3 years, something like that. For us, typically, you do your secondary education is high school, and that's 4 years. So grade 9, 10, 11, 12. You graduate around 18 years old, 17, 18, and then you go to university. And the degrees are, the most common is 4 years, which is your bachelor's.
Right.
And some people do 2 years for an associate's. And then you can go on and get master's, and that kind of varies how long you want to take personally, how many majors, blah, blah, blah. But I guess in the UK, it's typically 3 years.
For university?
Yeah, for the average university time, because their education, their high school is different too, so.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, me either, until just last week. So.
Oh, okay. The first year, each year in college has a name, and as well as in high school too. So the first year is called, or the students that are the first year students are called the freshmen. If you think about that word, freshman. So fresh meaning new, and man in this case just meaning people, but man. So the first year there is this thing called the freshman 15, which maybe you've heard of. The freshman 15. I don't know if you know this one. Freshman 15, the 15 in freshman 15 refers to 15 pounds, or pounds in terms of body weight. So kind of a joke that you might hear if you go to a college in the US, or maybe in another country too, you have this, is freshmen move out of their parents' home and go to school where they start eating cafeteria food anytime they like. They can get their own snacks. They're on their own, essentially. And the joke is that freshmen gain 15 pounds in their freshman year of college. Do you know about the freshman 15?
Yeah, I know it all too well. I gained the...
You got the freshman 15?
20 or something like that. I don't...
Oh.
So my problem is, partly I think the typical thing is it's because of the freedom. Your parents have a set meal, you have, like extracurricular activities.
I actually lost weight my first term of college.
Wow.
But then after that, I changed things up a bit, and then it was like I was just like a monster.
Celebration.
I was looking at pictures just last week or something like that. And I was like, whoa, it was such a difference, actually. Yeah, I had a bit of... Well, just watch an Old English in 3 minutes video. You'll get the idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So freshman 15. That's a common one. Then. All right. What's your next one?
So, this kind of relates to the freshman 15 is to party all the time.
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth. So, you're free. So maybe in high school, a lot of people drink and go party, but you have to keep it secret from your parents. You have to, do the thing where you call and you say, I'm going to stay at Alicia's house. And Alicia's parents think she's staying at my house. And we both go to a party where the parents are out of town. You have to be very secret. But in college, anytime, there's always somebody who wants to party. And there's always the bad influence who just doesn't care. They want to drop out. So there's always a party. If you seek it, it's there. Mm-hmm. So with that, that's where you can gain the freshman 15 is drinking a lot of calories.
This leads actually perfectly into
slight variation. I wrote themed parties for one of my cards. Because this especially beyond the freshman year. So the second year of college is called sophomore. The students are called sophomores. Third year, they're called juniors, and fourth year, seniors. So in your sophomore, junior, and senior year of college, typically, I would say, you move out of the dorm and into a house or an apartment. And it is there, in the freedom beyond the college campus, that you can have themed parties. So I'm betting that you have some stories. We had some themed parties, my friends and I. We did, of course, Halloween parties. We did those. We had a blacklight party one time where we replaced all the lights in the house with black lights, and everyone wore a white T-shirt and brought a highlighter, and then we would draw things or write things on people's T-shirts. That was fun. Yeah, I did that. That was actually really fun. We did a camo. Everybody had to wear camo at the party. That was a thing we did. There's a very, very key thing that appears in beer pong, which is the red Solo cup. So Solo is the brand of cup that is just, if you've watched a movie that's set in an American, if you've watched a movie that's set in college in the US, you will have seen the characters at the party holding this red plastic cup. And the brand is Solo. And I don't know how it came to be that this was just the college cup, but it is. It's just at every party. It's just cheap. And I didn't know this until recently, but there are lines on that red Solo, maybe they'll have a graphic here, I don't know. But there are lines on that red Solo cup where the bottom line on the cup is the amount of a shot, like a spirits shot. The next line up is 1 serving of wine. After that is a beer, I think. So the lines actually have a meaning to them. Apparently. I don't know if it's true. I read that recently though, because I was looking for them.
Yeah, my line was...
I could not find them. I couldn't find them. But yes, that cup is the college cup, the college cup of the college experience. Okay.
Experimenting is my next one, because actually my favorite place to go as far as clubs are gay clubs. I love gay clubs. And the first time I went to a gay club was in university. And the whole atmosphere is just very accepting. So I think probably because in the LGBT community, there's discrimination, and so they're, as a demographic, generally very accepting, very laid back. So I could go there and just have fun. You can wear whatever you want. You can talk and dance to whoever. Just a lot of fun. And I think in university, this is actually a phrase that my friends would always say, and I don't know if this is an idiom or something, or maybe just my friends, but it's college is about experiences. And you always hear that, and when someone's not sure, they don't want to do something, you're like, hey, come on, college is about experiences. Let's go hike that mountain and experiment in many different ways. Did you have anything like this?
I was honestly trying to think of some big change. I did start drinking in college, yes. But I really didn't do anything that was, honestly, I've never been a super crazy person. I'll try new things, I'll try new food, or I don't know, I like going to interesting events or festivals, or that kind of thing is fine. But as far as making a drastic change to my appearance or anything like that, I really didn't. Sororities and fraternities. Sororities and fraternities. A sorority is a group of girls who live together in one house and do things. I was not a member of a sorority, so I don't really know details. Somebody I'm sure out there probably knows more than me. Fraternities, on the other hand, are groups of men who live together. They're college-age women and college-age men who live together, and they do things together. The image of a sorority or a fraternity is that they're kind of, at least my image is that they're wealthy, kind of privileged kids, which is not even necessarily true. But I feel like this is the image that appears in a lot of movies about college experiences in America or in the States. All right, very nice, very nice. It's interesting to compare our different experiences. Any final thoughts on college in the US?
No, that's it.
Yeah, if you have a chance, give it a try, or just, studying in any country outside your own. It's an interesting experience. So as Michael said before, experimenting can be an interesting way to broaden your horizons, whatever that means for you. Okay, so that's all for us for today about the college experience in the USA. Thanks very much for watching, and we will see you again soon. Bye! Hi everybody, welcome back to English Topics. My name is Alicia, and I'm here today again with...
Michael, hello.
And today we're going to be talking about questions that we have been asked. So let's begin. What is the first question that you would like to discuss today, Michael?
I would like to discuss what's the main difference between British and American English? So, for me, I'd like to get this out of the way. Canadians and Americans sound pretty much the same. It's hard for us to tell the difference, even native English speakers. There's a couple telltale signs, they'll say some things, but it's usually regional. So I guess North Americans and then like UK English. And again, there's a lot of different accents and dialects, it all depends. But for me, the easiest way is Americans enunciate every word. We're very loud and we open our mouths a lot. Hello, how are you? Where are you from? Teacher, water. We enunciate every sound. So for me, a dead giveaway is that R, that end R.
Right, it's tough. I listen for vowel sounds and try to guess based on that. So your question is about British English and American English. There's also Australian English, there's Scottish English, there's Irish English. There's so many different English-speaking dialects. And honestly, sometimes it's hard for us to understand. We're both from relatively the same part of America, so we have the same speaking style. Our accents are the same. But to go through all of the different dialects and to try and approximate, to try and say them badly too would probably just be a waste of time. But you're on the internet. Look it up. Okay, I guess we'll go to the next one. Let's see. My questions. Let's see. I'm going to start with a grammar question that I get a lot. A grammar question that I come across, students ask me this question. The present tense versus the progressive tense. What is the difference? When should I use present tense versus progressive tense? So by this, I mean of verbs. The present tense is used for facts, things which are always true, things which are part of your regular schedule. The progressive tense has a few different meanings to it, a few different uses to it, but one of the meanings or one of the uses is to express something which is temporary, which is not part of your regular schedule, or another use is to describe a trend. To use a very common mistake as an example, if I ask the question, where do you work? A lot of times the response I get from my students is, I am working in America. Depending on the situation, that sentence could be correct, but if you're talking about the place where you work always, every day you go to that job, it could be the location of your office, it could be the country or the city where you work. If it's a part of your regular schedule, you want to explain a fact that is true about your life, you should use the present tense, not the progressive tense. So the correct version of that sentence should be, I work in America. That's part of my regular schedule. If, however, you're only in America for the week, for example, you can use the progressive tense, but it's more natural to say, for example, this week I'm working in America. That's a much, much more natural sentence to use.
How do I pronounce the TH sound? So, depending on who I'm teaching English to, they'll have problems with different pronunciation sounds. But for me, I think one that's common with a lot of different cultures is the TH sound. And I think, again, this goes back to like the different ways of speaking and how Americans, we enunciate every word and we push the way we speak to the very tip of our mouth. That's the TH sound. So most people are capable of making the TH sound, but they're just a little shy and it just doesn't seem natural. It's almost as if you can bite the tip of your tongue off when you say the sound, right? And then just another thing to note is that TH can have a hard or a soft or voiced or unvoiced sound. So the is hard or voiced. You hum, the. And then with like think, it's a soft or unvoiced. You don't hum, you don't vibrate, you just say think. But it's still the tongue touches your teeth. Think. That.
This is another grammar point that I get questions about from time to time. It is the present perfect tense versus the simple past tense. The question is, when do I use them? So present perfect tense, let's see, an example of present perfect tense would be, I have been to Paris. Simple past tense would be, I went to Paris. What is the difference? We use the present perfect tense to talk about a life experience or something which occurred in the past, but which still affects the present. So in this case, in my Paris example sentence, it's something that happened in the past, but exactly when is not important. We just want to say, I have had the life experience of going to Paris. Simple past, however, is used to refer to a specific point in time in the past. So for example, I went to Paris last summer. It's important that you know I went last summer. If the time point when you went to Paris is not important, use the present perfect tense. So this is really useful for talking about your travel experiences, for talking about your study experiences, foods you have and have not eaten. So just try to keep in mind when you should use these two. They're very commonly used together. Like, for example, you might use the present perfect tense to introduce a question. Have you ever been to Paris? And the follow-up answer, oh, yes, I have been to Paris, using the present perfect tense again. But then a common pattern is to follow that answer up with a simple past question. When did you go? So you can see it changes from present perfect tense to simple past tense. So a larger life experience to a more simple life experience. So they're used together, but just be careful. Try to be aware of, am I talking about an overall life experience or a very specific life experience? This is one that many of my students struggle with.
This is more cultural. Why do Americans wear shoes inside the house, on the bed, etc.? I feel like this depends, and this is starting to change. I take my shoes off in most houses, but I guess it's more so for comfort, whereas I feel like on the east side of the world, it's more of like a cleanliness kind of a thing. And if you do still wear your shoes, it's pretty taboo. Whereas in the States, I feel like most people, from my experience, anecdotal evidence, just personal experience, most places you take off your shoes, but if they have a party, they let people wear shoes inside the house. They don't care. And a lot of my friends will see American movies and they see somebody, a main character, wearing their shoes on the bed, on the couch, something like that. Again, from my experience, it's not that big of a deal, but typically you wouldn't do that. For me, the rule of thumb, like the unsaid rule, is that you can put your shoes up, but you don't let your shoes touch the couch. You kind of, you hang off, right? So you can, if you want to lay on the couch without taking your shoes off, you let your feet hang off. Because yeah, of course they're going to get dirty. But yeah, it's just not as emphasized as much in our culture. I don't know.
The last question I have is, can I ask a question? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And in probably 95% of cases, the answer to the question, can I ask a question, is yes. Okay. Why did I choose this question? My students sometimes will put their hands up in my lesson and say, can I ask a question? Like, one, this is your English class. Yes, please ask questions. But two, also, this is a discussion I've been having with a few people recently just about the mindset that I think is really important when speaking English. We have experience teaching in Asia, where maybe there's a different approach to conversations. I don't know if this is the same cultural approach to conversations that people from other countries have, but don't wait for permission to speak. Don't wait to jump into a conversation. Just go for it. Don't wait for someone to say, oh, would you like to speak now? Because that's never going to happen.
So don't be shy, get your tongue out and say things, and don't worry if it sounds rude or too polite or whatever. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Just it's a shift in mindset. If you when you start speaking that second language, like you said, if you just change your mind just a little bit, just make a small shift in your mindset, maybe you'll see, that's what it takes. Just let go a little bit of your home language and see what happens. Great. So those are some questions that we have been asked about teaching, about English, about culture. If you have any other questions, by the way, please make sure to leave them in a comment for us. Or if there's something that you've always wondered about, or if there's something that you've encountered recently that confused you, whatever, leave it in a comment for us and maybe we'll talk about it in the future. Thanks very much for watching this episode of English Topics. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we will see you again next time. Bye!